That's fair.
Oh.
Yeah.
You're not a gay fish. Yeah, well.
No, I ain't a gay fish.
So yeah, I mean that's fine. If you're just not into slurping on some fish sticks, that's all up to you. But
I'm
personally,
still
But
really.
I like
If
putting
you can
fish
slurp a
sticks in
fish
my mouth.
finger, then it's
like
fucking wrong.
straight
I mean, I'm
down
still
the throat, just
really
like,
confused about how you could compare French toast sticks to fish sticks. That's still
What
boggling
the
me.
fuck? How is that not an adequate fucking comparison?
It's not a fucking adequate comparison at all. Maybe it's the
Oh
fact
my
that both
God.
sticks.
Yeah,
Okay,
okay,
yeah,
okay,
yeah, fucking
It's like a
French-
soft, like fish meat surrounded like a breadcrumb coating.
Yeah, I guess fish sticks and fucking nunchucks have fucking simulators.
Yes,
Speaking
they're
of
like
which,
a stick-like weapon.
what's up, guys? Welcome to yet another Response podcast. We are coming to you live, first time in 2022. I hope everybody's had a great New Year. Hope everybody's had great happy holidays. Everybody's here, refreshed, ready to go.
Well, we were
So-
until we couldn't agree on what a fucking fish finger is.
Well, what's the difference with sticking a finger?
Well, no, fish fingers are
I
what they
will
basically
not be
call
held
fish sticks.
responsible. Like, I do not have hot takes about fucking fish sticks. Okay, y'all are just.
Apparently,
you have
they're like.
you have hot takes. No. You have hot
to be
takes about
honest.
fish. Fucking goddamn it, fish French toast. Ew, that sounds horrible.
Fish toast.
That's on you. You did that.
That's yeah. I'll eat that. Or actually, I probably won't. But so, in case you guys haven't noticed, with a lot of the fucking media we've been covering and a lot of different things coming out, a lot of shit sucks nowadays. Just straight up, like there's not effort being put into it. Like look at the Matrix Resurrections. It's all done cynically and not creatively without any effort. So instead, we decided to do something a little bit different, and we went back and watched a really, really good movie, Law Abiding Citizen. It's a family-friendly movie about two family men coming together and getting up to wacky hijinks. Gerard Butler plays an engineer with a loving family, and he gets up to a bunch of wacky things that Jamie Foxx, the prosecutor, has to basically call him out on.
Yeah.
This
and, like,
is-
the first 30 seconds too. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, right? So this is actually the first time that our special guest today, Tom, has actually seen any of the movie. Tom, what
Yellow.
did you think of the movie?
I really liked it.
That's
all you need to know.
Fair enough.
What number would you
It's
give?
my
What
second time
what
seeing the movie, but I
tomato?
forgot most of it, so it was kind of my first time seeing it too, and I also really liked it.
Fair enough.
All right, there you go. All right, see you next week. Bye.
All right, guys.
Nice.
We
This
can
is-
Thanks,
done,
guys.
lads.
We're out. We out later.
Let's go back
Hold
to talking
on.
about
So
fucking
this
fish fingers.
this was my this was my first viewing as well, and yeah, it was. I
What?
liked it. Yes. I've
You were
told
talking
this.
like you've seen it, though.
That's
Well,
a
you were
lie,
talk-
Kevin. Remember, he does that.
No, I wasn't. I was just guessing. Actually, I was legit just fucking like throwing shit out. 'Cause
I
I've
know.
seen these types of
You
movies
need to-
over
you
and
need to-
over.
You need to stop doing that. But what did you think of the movie?
I thought it was pretty good.
Okay. The reason I wanted to watch this one because I watched it recently because it was trending on Netflix, I think like a couple months ago, and I remember watching it a billion years ago. And I watched it a bunch back then, but that was before I really had a critical eye to really look at anything. Watching again, I really didn't notice a lot of problems, and the whole point of me bringing it to the table is because when I watched it, the two times that I watched it a month ago, I thought it was close to being an objectively perfect movie. And so I put that challenge out there for the rest of the group to maybe kind of pick at and see if you can find anything wrong with the movie.
I mean, you probably saw from like the picture I put in the chat that like just from the notes I was taking as we were watching, I've spotted like a couple of things here and there.
And
But like
with,
honestly, nothing that I would even dock a point off the movie for.
I don't know. I had a few issues with
All right.
some of
I suppose
the.
like the biggest one I had was in order for things to be explained to the audience, Jamie Foxx as the assistant DA would be like almost deliberately incompetent, or he just wouldn't know things that he absolutely should know, just so that the audience could have it explained to them. Like that
Well-
happened a couple times. Let's see. Okay,
so you-
the key example I can think of is you remember when your man was in the cell and Jamie Foxx comes in and he's looking to get a confession, and your man says like, "Oh yeah, absolutely, he deserved to die. Absolutely, I thought of killing him. I planned it out in my head many, many times." And then Jamie Foxx is actually satisfied with that, and he's about to walk out of the cell And Shelton actually has to say, well, no, hang on there, Buckaroo. I didn't actually admit to anything. Now, anyone who's gotten through, like, the first day of law school would not need to have it pointed out to them that he didn't actually admit to anything. But it's a nice little twist to reveal to the audience in case they didn't catch it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
I
kind of
can
what
see
I'm talking about.
Because like I feel like the wording could be like a thing, like the way he words it.
Oh, to a layman, it could absolutely.
Well, no, like
come
so
across as a
layman, yeah,
confession, but to a
and
lawyer, it absolutely fucking wouldn't. And that's kind of the thing I'm like looking at with the squinty eyes, like,
fair enough. Fair enough.
And bear in mind, it's like he's not just a professional lawyer. He's like, he's set up. They fucking hype him up in the first act of the fucking movie. Like he's not just good; he's really good. Part of that is because he just knows how to pick his cases. Like he's very concerned with his performance record, and he does that by like just not pursuing cases that he doesn't think are winners. Which, you know, that's fine. That's actually a thing that really does happen. But he is also fucking competent as shit. He knows his stuff. And that's part of the stuff that he absolutely should know. So yeah, there are a couple things here and there, but like honestly, as close as any movie can get to being almost perfect, it's nearly up there. And it does some like tricky things here and there to kind of skate by and stuff. You know, deliberate sections where it's vague about details. Just so it's like, you know how we've spotted this in other movies before where they try and explain something, but the explanation of it makes no fucking sense. Whereas if they had just left it vague, we could have filled in the blank ourselves and it would have been fine.
So which one are you
This
thinking
movie
about
does
in this?
that. Okay, you remember how towards the end of the movie it shows like, oh, he dug into every cell in solitary confinement so that no matter which cell he got sent to, when he got sent to solitary, he would still have access to his base of operations.
Right.
It's like, wow, yeah, it's like, yeah, that actually covers one of like the key bases. If he only dug into one cell, we would all be sat here asking, how the fuck did he get sent to the specific cell he needed to be? But now we're left with this other question of, he dug into every cell?
And
How the fuck did he get away with that?
Yeah, no one heard him. Nobody felt like, because
Saw him.
all the support beams that would go into mining that tunnel, like that would take quite a lot of time, effort,
Yeah.
and
Now, he did have a 10-year window to do
Yeah.
this, but that same 10-year window is the same 10-year window he had to do everything fucking else.
yes.
And he did have cameras and stuff in the prison. I thought of this as I was making my note there in the fucking posters. But he did have cameras, so he would never have dug into a cell that was occupied. But if any of those solitary cells were occupied, somebody would have heard some shit.
Yeah. Maybe, but like the thing is with the like him planning everything out, I feel like he would have accounted for that. Because he did have cameras like leading into pretty much the entire prison.
Well, I mean, by
So
how
he
far
only
can we
would
go
have done
with
it
that?
when none of the cells were occupied. That really doesn't leave him a lot of time to work with.
Yeah, it's,
Especially in a prison as notoriously violent as the one he was sent to.
yeah. How much maneuvering room are we gonna give to the whole expert
Well,
planner?
see, no, right
10-year
there,
time
that
gap?
question. That question of how much maneuvering room, that's the original point I was making. By being deliberately vague about it, by giving us just enough that we can kind of fill in. It's like, well, he had cameras, he knew when people would and wouldn't be around there, he had 10 years to work with. It's like, we can kind of like fill in that gap ourselves, so it's fine. And by being deliberately vague about it, it's a nice strategic move to make sure they don't get nailed for a flaw.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with when they meet the guy under the bridge and we find out that he's not a spy, but he is someone the Department of Defense would consult because he's a really fucking good tactical mind. They
Mhm.
were so vague about exactly who he is and what he does and whatever. And you compare this to the Oh fuck! What's the Bob Odenkirk movie we watched fairly recently?
Nobody.
Nobody. Yes, this movie has a lot in common with that in terms of just its basic premise and plot.
Mhm.
But in Nobody, they get very specific about who he is and exactly what he did, and that's like exactly how they drive the point home as exactly how fucked these people are who mess with them. Whereas in this, they did the opposite, and I think it actually works a little bit better this way, where it's like the guy was there like, yeah, spies are like a dime a dozen. I'm a spy. This guy, he's a brain.
Mhm.
It's like he's a fucking tactical genius, and it's like
And-
he's an engineer as well. So it's like he's got this whole thing where we don't know exactly what his position is, exactly who his contacts are, what his resources are, but we're shown enough through Jamie Foxx's investigation to fill in that he's doing all this within what we can consider, from the audience perspective, to be reasonable means with what he had to work with.
And it
And
and
so
it
it's like
goes.
those little areas where it's vague are like very deliberately and strategically placed so that there isn't a flaw that the movie can be nailed for. It's
Yeah, and-
really cleverly done.
And it's really, and it just as him from the beginning of the movie, where we see him in the interrogation room, and he's like a hurt, scared like puppy almost, because he just lost like everything he loves. But like the seeds were already there that he was a massive badass. He was just like completely broken at that moment.
Well, yeah, it's just like he's still human.
Mhm.
And this is like another thing that this movie's done really well is we've seen sort of similar movies before where we've seen someone get like massive injustice done to them, mentally breaks them, they start going fucking psycho, and they have this like implicit urge to make somebody else on the opposing team see the world the way they do. And usually that story plays out from this other person's perspective, from the Jamie Foxx perspective. But in this is like the psycho actually wins.
Mhm.
The second that Jamie Foxx says fuck his civil rights is the moment's like, Shelton won. Right there in that one sentence, Shelton wins. When you recognize that justice extends beyond the long arm of the law and into right and wrong with actual life and death stakes, he has won. And that's why at the end of the movie he dies with a smile on his face. It's fucking beautiful.
Mhm. Well, we can get to that, but I was hoping we could probably do like a rundown through the entire movie, just in case anybody had. Well, just in case anybody hadn't seen the movie or whatever, it is trending on Netflix. Definitely recommend. There's literally, I don't think anybody here says don't watch this movie. Am I right?
No,
Mhm.
everybody
No,
should
definitely
watch
watch
this movie.
it.
It's fucking great.
Yeah.
I actually, something I really did like the way that Shelton just operated. We'll talk about it later with a certain scene when he's outside the prison. But I guess now we're kind of starting over, like back to the beginning of the film.
Well, just because we were kind of getting like vague things and trying to point out certain like potential problems with the movie, but like just
if you want
to
to go through the plot before we start going into things that are good or bad or whatever, then we can do that.
Yeah, like I said, it's up to you guys. That's what I was planning on doing. But if you have any other suggestions, it'd be cool.
Yeah, let's run through the plot.
All right.
Starts off, this guy's life gets fucked.
Well, no, hang on. It starts off. This guy's life is pretty cool. He's doing tinkering. He's doing his thing. He's encouraged his daughter to be artistic. You can tell that he loves his daughter. He's having a good time. He's a good, heartfelt, good old boy. Doorbell rings, and life literally goes upside down for him, in like the worst possible way. And it was funny listening to Tom reacts because he hadn't seen the movie, and he's like, "Holy shit!" And it's like, yeah, this movie gets really harsh, really fucking fast.
It's
That's
fucking
that's-
abrupt.
Yeah, that surprised me too. I was just like, so the movie started. The movie just
yeah.
started.
Oh, did it start?
And yeah, two individuals run in and break in. One character baseball bat, the other character is like working on control. He turns off all the lights and stuff like that. And so they zip tie Clyde, and his wife comes in, sees it. The bigger man then stabs her, drops her to the ground, And as she's screaming in pain, he's literally unbuckling his pants. And the other guy's going, "Oh my god, dude, what are you doing? We need to go. What are you doing?" And then we get this horrible shot of the daughter walking in, and he goes, kids love me. And he grabs her and pulls into the other room, and fucking hell. Like,
Yeah, that's how the movie begins.
So I do have a question.
Jesus Christ.
They don't really say it, but are we just to assume that these are the two unluckiest fucking random criminals on planet Earth?
Yeah, probably.
I mean,
Yeah.
similar to Nobody, it's literally like this could have happened to anybody, and it just happened to happen to the absolute wrong motherfucker.
Exactly.
Right.
And when they were stabbing both Gerard Butler and his wife, they were like, "It's fate. It was fate that this happened." Slides
fight
knife
fate.
Because
in the
you
gut.
can't cheat fate.
You can't fight fate is Darby, the bad guy's main slogan.
You can't fight fate. Stabs.
Yeah, and then kids love me, and it's like, oh fuck. And yeah, so that's how this starts, and then we get our second lead, which is it cuts from that to the basically the next day, and we get the second lead of the movie, who's Jamie Foxx, and he's an up and coming. Is he a defense attorney or is he a prosecutor? He's a prosecutor, right?
He's a
Yes.
prosecutor. He's an
In
assistant DA.
the first scene, like 10 years ago from present day in the movie, I believe he's a state prosecutor.
He has to be.
Yeah, who's
Like, they don't
confirmed to.
explicitly give him a title. He's just kind of like, he's lawyer man. He's a representative of the justice system from that perspective, but I believe he is a state prosecutor.
Yeah, and I did watch this with a friend of mine who is a bit of a lawist, and what she said is that they kind of keep a little bit vague because they want to get to specifics because they don't want to lock down anybody's specific title until the end of the movie.
Which is exactly what I was talking about earlier as well.
Yeah.
Because if you notice throughout this movie, Jamie Foxx is doing a lot of shit that a normal like lawyer doesn't
Wouldn't
really have
do.
business doing.
Yes, like especially going to both scenes of the crimes.
Yeah, he's
So,
turning up at the scenes of the crimes. He's discussing how to proceed with the case with the attending officers,
Mhm.
as if he's also on the case.
Yeah, so it's like implied that like so by the movie's logic, he's a detective and the DA throughout the movie, not just at the end.
Yeah, they were just
Little
doing
bit.
crime. They were just doing crime procedural shit.
Mhm.
Lawyer.
But we do
who's-
know that like after the 10-year time skip, he is like
Up there.
directly under the DA.
Correct.
Because like his mentor, the guy we saw like give him the pep talk before he goes into the press after the trial,
Mhm.
that's his mentor. It's the guy immediately above him, and like 10 years later, it's like he's clearly risen in the ranks. He's sort of like able to be a peer to this guy, and that guy is the DA. So Jamie Foxx, assistant DA, maybe.
Mhm.
And
And
then he
yeah,
becomes
it's-
acting
He's
DA
an
later.
assistant DA 10 years later. You don't know if that he's in that position when this whole thing starts.
yeah.
No,
Well,
when
it's
it
definitely
starts, I think he's just a prosecutor, like a
Mhm.
good prosecutor, like someone who is sort of like
96%.
being groomed to rise the ranks, but right
96%
now is still
conviction.
just dealing with cases.
Yeah,
Right.
96% fucking conviction rate. It's fucking huge. That means pretty much every single trial he's in,
Well,
he's gonna
I mean,
win.
that's the benefit of choosing your cases.
It's true, but still, but that looks good on paper and like it makes
Mhm.
like big his resume. So
Which is why 10 years later he's like directly under the DA who was helping him get there in the first place, because
Hmm.
legitimately that's just how it be sometimes.
if I didn't know any better, you're trying to go for my job. Well, you do know better. I'm not going for your job. I'm going higher. Like I said, it's all there. He's getting set up, and you also set up his relationship with Sarah, the like basically his apprentice, the chick, where
Oh yeah,
she's
she's the one who's like coming up after him in the same way he's coming up after the guy mentoring him.
Mhm.
So like he's clearly at the start of this movie, he's a very successful prosecutor, but he's still just a prosecutor. And then in the pre-time skip, I think she's just coming in out of law school,
Mhm.
so she's just like beginning to work case files. And then 10 years later, he's risen to. I think we can kind of fill in the gap that he's probably assistant DA, or he's just a prosecutor, but he's really fucking well regarded and he's probably going to be the next DA. And then she is being mentored by him. Which, again, that is also just how it be sometimes.
Definitely.
People get grandfathered into jobs by their predecessors.
And yeah, like I said, we get a little bit of setup for that, and that comes into play later. And yeah, so we then get a scene where fuck, what's Jamie Foxx's name? Nick. Nick is talking to his mentor
We
about the
call him
current
Jimmy Fox this whole fucking
Jamie
time.
Foxx. I'm
I've
sorry.
been calling Gerard Butler.
That's fair. So yeah, Nick is having a conversation with his mentor about the current case, which is the Darby Ames versus Clyde Shelton case, and it's revealed that the DNA from the crime scene is not conclusive enough. So there's a strong chance that these characters, what's the word? What's the word I'm looking for? Suspects will get off completely free, so they're going to make a deal with one of them to basically fuck over the other.
Well,
And
no, that's not quite what the situation was. It was the DNA was non-conclusive compromise and non-conclusive as argued by the defense.
The judge,
but it was very heavily implied and almost explicitly stated that this is something that Jamie Foxx could have argued against, but he would have risked losing.
Mhm.
And that's the thing.
And he mentions that
And
the judge
Shelton was very fucking aware of that, and I don't think that at that time Electra was aware that Leonidas was onto his bullshit.
Mhm.
Well, and what
I don't-
I'm curious about too
Well-
is because they only mentioned it twice through the movie. Once at a jab at the cops at the crime scene, and then one other time where they said about the DNA was contaminated. Because what they said in the very beginning that it was inconclusive versus later didn't quite match up. It came out that it was contaminated. I'm curious what they did at the crime scene that caused that kind
Well,
of
that's
is
kind of
sloppy-
It is a throwaway line for it later, where Nick is talking to two of the cops. He said, "If you scholars would not mess with the crime scene so much, I wouldn't have to do my job this way," or something like that.
Yeah, basically.
Like, it is a-
yeah,
the-
he
the
implies that
is
it was the
fucked up.
cops' fault that the DNA was fucked.
Yeah, they fucked up
Which
evidence
could be
retrieval.
true or could be false. It could just be him giving them shit and like passing the blame. People do that.
Oh
But
no!
this is what I was saying earlier with like the strategic vagueness about these things.
Mhm.
Well, that's what I was trying to bring up, actually. Forensic science, it really is just one of those little needlepoint things. You fuck up, like, even a fucking letter on the bag, and it's completely inadmissible. That's,
Mhm.
like, I took, like, a whole class on this. It was fucking insane. You learned how sometimes how fragile that kind of system can really be. And...
And so yeah, so with all of that being stacked up against Nick, he decides, let's just make the deal so we can just take care of it, because it's not exactly perfect justice, but Darby does go to jail for a couple years, which isn't great because Darby's the one who actually did all the shit, and
Yeah.
Ames will get death row with this testimony.
And that's just because Darby was willing to testify against him.
Mm-hmm.
And
Darby's
what Jamie
Darby's
Foxx
a massive piece of
says
shit.
is like some justice is better than no justice,
No
and
justice
that
at all.
unironically just is how the justice system works.
Yes. Both Clyde and Nick realize like the fucking limitations of like the court systems. And so yeah, the mentor's like, well, you need to tell the husband, like, cause he's like, even the mentor, dude, you killed a little girl. Like, it's just the most like,
yeah, it's like even the mentor's like, dude, this is not the one I would have like taken the sure path on. It's like, even if it meant a loss on your record, this one might have been worth the fight, to be honest.
Mhm.
But then it's like, yeah, he's
Which-
just kind of like being a mentor to someone who's like quite advanced in his career. So he's like, hey, you know your shit, and I know you know your shit because I taught you your shit. I'm just saying, is like, I wouldn't have done it that way, but hey, the guy is here, and now you get the unenviable task of explaining your decision.
Mhm.
I think that's why, why I like the scene is like you could have held your head up high, and I wouldn't have.
Well, no, that's
Yeah,
later.
if I
No,
just
it's-
seen that you had tried, that is a fucking good speech.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that comes later because in the actual room, Shelton is very distressed, like torn up about like what's going to happen because he thought this would have been like a straight case. These both people need to die.
Yeah, he
But-
I mean, that's what he was told. That
yeah, he
this
was
part of the
told
case
by
was clear
Jamie
cut.
Foxx.
Yeah,
Well, and I'm sorry, any lawyer comes in and their first words is, "You trust me? Do you trust me?" The instant response should be no.
Well, yeah, and
Like,
you notice how
that tells
Shelton
you that
didn't
things
answer
are
the
about to go
question,
bad.
and we're all just like, yeah, no, of course he fucking doesn't. Because anyone who needs to ask, you probably shouldn't trust.
hmm So yeah, then of course they go through the whole rigmarole. It's like, but it's not Ames who needs to die. It's fucking Darby because Darby was the one who actually fucked up. And it's like, yeah, but like I said, it's I love the exchange between these two, like because you could tell that like he's so fucking desperate to get Darby justice, but he realizes that it's not gonna happen.
Yeah, and he didn't even serve the full 5 that we learned later. He served 3.
Yeah.
Well, see,
'cause
this
of
is the
good
thing.
behavior.
The sentence he was going to be given was 5, but people get off time for good behavior and all of this shit because prisons are overpopulated and
And
the
Darby
whole
is
system
shown,
is a little bit bullshit.
and Darby is
Well,
shown because he's a massive piece of shit, but he is shown in professional like appearance. He's very professional. So despite him being a fucking child R-worded, we're
But we
like
don't know that he actually
we don't
did that as
know,
a
but
kid. All we know is that he was
It's
going
indicated.
with like a woman,
it's
and that he
heavily fucking
killed the
implied.
kid.
It's so
Yeah,
heavily
it's
implied. It's
indicated
pretty
and
fucked.
heavily implied.
But the main thing is he's a child killer, and like he's willing to play face, even though he's a complete scumbag later. And yeah, I love the fucking thing where he's just like, "I'm glad to see justice served." And fucking Jamie Foxx just leans in and goes, "Fuck this up for me, so I can destroy it." It's so good because like even though Jamie Foxx realized to make this deal to fucking get this case, he still wants to fucking fry Darby.
But yeah, it's like if given the chance, if he thought that it was a sure thing that he would win if he argued it, he absolutely would have. And this is why like Shelton laser focuses in on him so hard, is because Shelton recognizes he's so fucking close to getting it from his
Well,
like psychologically broken perspective.
And that pause point when Darby says to Nick, "You can't fight fate," like where Nick just kind of pauses for a second and you can see the wheels turning. It's like, yeah, it's not too late. You can stop right here and do the right thing. And then he just continues on.
I'm pretty sure he
He
says
thinks
you
like,
can't
"Damn,
fight fate
maybe you
later
can't." But
when he's
God
like,
it's-
damn it, if I could, I'd punch it in the fucking head.
No, in the courtroom, Darby
Was it in the
says it
courtroom?
to Nick
Yeah, when he hands
as
him-
he's signing off of
Yeah, he does.
the agreement. Yeah. And Nick pauses and just kind of stares at him, and you see the hamster running on the wheel, turning, and him recognizing that he didn't do what he should have done.
Yeah, and there are moments I really do like it when Jamie Foxx like puts aside the lawyer perspective, because then later he's like, "Yeah, I like what you did. As a father myself."
As a father, yeah, I respect
It's
what
like,
you
well,
did.
yeah, it's like
Bravo.
before the interview begins, like one father to another, bravo. But
Good
I
job.
have a job to do. And it's
Yeah.
like that divide, that like cognitive dissonance Nick has in his own head, that is the very thing that Shelton is like working to break down. He's saying like Shelton's whole perspective in this movie is that there should be no cognitive dissonance. Justice is justice, right is right, and wrong is wrong. And Nick's perspective is it's more complicated than that because it's not about what you see, it's about what you can prove,
in
because
court.
proof is the ultimate facet of justice. If something can't be proven, but a sentence is passed down, it doesn't matter if ultimately it was right. The fact was, something couldn't be proven. That in and of itself is injustice. And so it's like, you have this, like, civilized, everything is nice and peachy keen mindset. The ideal justice system is like this. But then you have Shelton's like, well, I've actually had injustice done to me, and the justice system couldn't help. Clearly, the system is flawed. And you just radically different sides of the coin, and one of them is trying to like work with the other, while Nick is literally just trying to convict him. It's like Nick is just trying to do his job. Shelton is trying to prove a fucking point. And that's why for the first half of this movie, Nick didn't stand a fucking chance.
No, not whatsoever. He did try to play, but we'll get to that. So yeah, it ends with Ames getting well. I think the trial beginning for Ames, and then Darby. I don't even know what's going on. He's like leaving in handcuffs, but he goes to give Nick a handshake, and that's all that Clyde Shelton could see from afar. Is literally the two people like fucking his life over.
Well, Shelton saw that, but he knows that like Nick cut a deal that he wasn't really happy with, but he compromised himself. It's more just Shelton saw the world see that.
Yeah.
And remember, it's like Shelton becomes like an actual domestic terrorist. He doesn't really care about what he sees. He doesn't care about what Nick sees. He wants the whole fucking system to change. He cares about what the people say. And if I was going to flaw this movie for anything like more broad and like thematic side of things, it would be the fact that we never really get anything from the average people. It's like anyone outside of like the small world of lawyers and cops and criminals. When, as far as Shelton, it's like one half of the protagonist of this movie is concerned, like they are the goal. It's like killing the security council that's meeting in the mayor's office. That has nothing to do with Nick. That has to do with the system. It has to do with what people see the system doing. How people think the system works. That's what Shelton's really working towards, and we don't really get anything to flesh that out.
Well, and kind of a side point to that, it's interesting that there are so many opportunities where if he really wanted to kill Nick, he could have, but he's shown time and time again to go out of his way not to do that. Because his goal isn't to kill Nick, it's to teach him.
There's like, two specific scenes later that specifically say he's not trying to kill Nick.
Yeah, even says, like, I had 10 fucking years. I could have torn you and your family apart.
Yeah, he tells Nick the exact time that his wife takes his daughter to school. It's like, oof. And I love that little character break of fucking Nick. You think about touching my family. You even think about touching my family. And he takes that moment of like pure rage, but then he like composes himself because he knows he has to be professional.
Right.
Like I said, it's fucking like both these guys like fucking top notch fucking acting throughout this movie. Like straight up.
Oh hell yeah!
Oh yeah, they're good actors. It's too bad it's too bad a certain movie decided to not use any of Jamie Foxx's charm at all.
You could say that about fucking Butler too. Remember when he was a god of Egypt?
Oh my god, I forgot gods of Egypt even fucking existed.
Let's chill out. Like you don't know
as
about that.
Pasty as I am. Who the fuck put him in Egypt?
Yeah, there's a reason why the movie fucking bombed and like
technically.
I think it was
in 302 Electric Boogaloo. Okay.
I think he was actually. I think that movie only lasted like a week in theaters because it did so terribly.
It was so fucking
there was a movie called Gods of Egypt, and fucking Gerard Butler was like one of the main characters.
He was set, if I remember correctly. I worked at a movie theater when that movie theater came out.
God of Egypt.
Yes.
Yeah, he was a little god of Egypt.
Jamie Lannister. Okay. Jamie Lannister was fucking not Horus. He was a different one.
God, I want to see that movie.
Wait, hang on. Were all of like the gods of Egypt in this movie like middle-aged white guys?
They were all white.
Like I remember. Hold on. I was working in movie theaters when this movie came out. Yeah, Max is right. It was in theaters for a week. This thing fucking bombed.
I almost want to watch it now.
Chadwick Boseman was also in it. He was like the only one.
Wait, was he a god or was he just an Egyptian?
He was
a god.
Oh.
Okay, so not all of them were like middle-aged white guys.
He was the only one that was not. He was the only one that was racially correct.
Even though still the wrong ethnic group, but that's a whole fucking different thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So anyway, like I said, we can talk about Waste Potential whenever the fuck we want to, but we're talking about a good movie here. And yeah, both these guys really fucking act their asses off. They do a fantastic job. Like I said, fucking Gerard Butler acting like a different dude. It's a cop dude. He actually was like really convincing. I didn't even realize it was him till like the reveal. But yeah, so this is the part I was like trying to tell you how to shut the fuck up because there was an important thing because Wyatt started going off on it. This is why I kind of kicked you under the table, Wyatt, when this happened. But 10 years later, well, first before we get to that, 10 years later, we see Nick is, doing his thing as a prosecutor. He's got his lovely daughter who's like, 10 years old. And she's kind of used to her dad being like, big prosecutor man. And can you go over one more time, Slayer, when she had the problem with the French toast?
Oh, it was just kind of anemic. Now, I am faulting like an actual 10-year-old's cooking skills here. It's like, she did fine. It seemed perfectly edible. It's like, good job, but like, you need a bit more egg in that love
I love
sugar.
the
Come
idea
on.
that Slurs at this breakfast table
Get a
like
fucking nutrition in your breakfast. Come
It's like less mean than fucking Gordon Ramsay here.
Wow.
It's like,
10-year-old can't even cook French toast. Worst movie ever. Fuck
It's
this.
fucking
It's just like
raw.
it's raw.
I love the idea that Slurs just at this breakfast table. It's like, are you gonna give me my fucking French toast, you bitch?
It's just the fucking scene from Anger Man. Just put Slur's face over the anger management thing. I said over easy.
just put the 10-year-old girl over Adam Sandler.
Anyway,
This might actually just be a me thing, because the way I've always made eggy bread, the way my mom made eggy bread, was like 3 eggs to like 2 slices of bread, and you just leave it to soak for like 10-15 minutes. So there's like actually a fairly decent amount of egg per bread, the way I've always had it. I don't actually know whether that's normal or not.
fair enough. So I really want you to cook for me one day. So yeah, I just
As
remember
long as it
Slur
doesn't
saying-
involve steak, we'll be fine.
I just remember him perking up at that scene.
I make a good fucking steak. I just don't put it in a fucking omelet. Because I'm not a heathen.
We'll put it in a poll for this fucking Yarp. Should steak be a breakfast food? But yeah, like I said, I remember him making a noise, so I was curious about that. So anyway, we get it. Nick is doing his thing as the law guy, doing the law things, and he's with his apprentice Sarah, and she is a little disheartened because she's about to watch an execution for the first time, and it's going to be Ames's execution. And and Wyatt said, it's like, well, why not shoot him in the head? Because this will happen. And it's like, but the point of the fucking scene is this part is not supposed to be like this.
Well,
Not
I
just
actually
the point of the scene, but also just how executions happen in real life. And I said this when the scene came up. It's like, just really briefly, that's like, in real life, executions are actually really fucking overcomplicated.
Mhm.
Because in order to make it happen, and I think it is still a diminishing thing, even in the US, which is, I think, one of the very few first world countries that still do it.
Mhm.
It's to do it and to get away with it and justify having a death penalty in front of, like, human rights courts. You actually have to prove that it is painless, that the judicial process before you get there is fucking thorough, which is why it only happened like 10 years after the fact, and all of this other stuff. It is a really complicated process. And even just killing someone by lethal injection, what the guy said, where it's like it's 3 separate chemicals to absolutely ensure that the person doesn't feel a single thing, honestly, that's accurate.
yeah, it's one to put you to
Like,
sleep.
in the
one to-
1920s, you would be in a cell and a doctor would come in and stick a needle in your arm. That's those days are fucking long gone. And you can't just take someone out into a yard and shoot them,
Yeah,
because when you make it too
would be
simple,
insane.
those exact same courts start kicking up a fuss. If you make it too easy for the state to execute its citizens, people tend to have a problem with that.
Right.
And that's literally my entire problem with the death penalty in the first place.
well,
It's like the state killing its own citizens. It doesn't feel good. It's like, however much I think that certain people do absolutely deserve to die by my own sense of justice, the state having the right under law to kill people, it's fucky. It's really fucky. And the result of that fuckiness is a process that looks like what we've seen in this movie, where you have fucking vats of chemicals being pumped into someone to kill them as painlessly as possible. Even though, really and truly, most of the people who end up in that situation probably deserve all the pain in the world.
Yeah.
So yeah, if they're in that situation, it's typically because they killed someone else very, very mercilessly. So it's like,
Yeah, just a
That's-
regular murder, even like premeditated murder. It's like, I hate my neighbor. My neighbor is an absolute cunt. I am going to shoot him head on Saturday, and that's it. I've made a plan. I've meditated on it. Like I took
We would like
a
to. We would,
mindfulness
to,
break,
we would. We would
and
like
then
to
I came
say
back
that.
and I shot him in the head. It's like,
we would
yeah,
like to
that is still not going to get you the death penalty.
We would like to say, Susan, that Slur does not speak for the rest of the Get Another Response podcast team.
In Minecraft. In
Slur-
Minecraft.
As in, like,
In Minecraft.
Slur's neighbor, be very afraid in Minecraft.
Minecraft.
Whoever you are.
Yes.
Hypothetically
Anyway,
speaking,
even
allegedly.
in that example, it's like, fucking
Did I picture it in my head over and over again? Yes.
When you do it, even if you then have like a fucking written confession both before and after the fact, 100% conclusive, you're probably still not going to get the death penalty for something that straightforward,
Mhm.
depending on the state. Like some people's like murder is immediately the death penalty. It gets weird, and it's also dependent on the judge and the jury.
Yeah,
and
like, the
Well, it's
different
incredibly
things.
rare
the
these
whole
days.
American legal system is more complicated than most other first world countries, and
Definitely.
the vast majority of first world countries have a legal system that is archaic as absolute shit.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Well-
also,
Nowhere's
you-
perfect, unfortunately.
hold on. So you were acting as if I was spoiling the movie when it's like, no, this is actually just my knowledge of the justice system and how I was like, yeah, this kind of lethal injection actually fucks up a lot more than we think it does. Like I watched like there was a whole Last Week Tonight on the death penalty, and it's like there's a
Yeah,
good
but the
chance-
way you were saying it, it's like, oh, see, this could happen. I was like, well, that's the point of this point of the plot of the movie is that this is happening. This is not supposed to happen because it's being deliberately fucked with. That's what I was
Mhm.
trying to tell you.
Yeah,
Stop
the fact
talking,
is,
'cause
like-
it's that's what was happening in this movie. It's supposed to be
What
painless,
happened in the movie?
but what happened in the
where,
movie
like,
is what was tampering.
Right. Versus just
yeah,
general
the idea that somebody
incompetence.
would have an adverse reaction to the lethal injection, as fucking stupid as that sounds, like, oh, you have an adverse reaction to the lethal injection? Hold on, let me get you some medicine for the fucking 5 minutes you're still here. It's like, what the fuck? It sounds stupid, but it actually is a thing, and that's why that it takes fucking 10 years for someone to actually be sentenced to death, because all of that is checked beforehand. Unless someone tampers with the things that get injected into you.
Mm-hmm.
And typically, it does take longer than 10 years. A lot of death row inmates that are actually injected, they sit on death row for 20 plus years before
Yep.
they actually are killed.
Damn.
And they will do allergy tests on them beforehand to ensure that they are not allergic and they will not have reactions to
At
what
that-
they get.
At that point, you just think maybe just bring back the guillotine.
That's
Yeah,
actually what some like I
Well,
think
it's
it was
more
like
efficient, but the French
Yeah.
Revolution was also a fucking mess, so maybe
It
that's
was.
not.
I think
I
it
mean,
was
but you get souvenirs this way.
Yeah, just take the guillotine from there, nothing else.
was it a
I mean,
Congress-
Robespierre was so in favor of the guillotine, he incited for anybody who was questioning the revolutionary motive. Until he was questioning the revolutionary motive, and then he was guillotined. People tend to be a little bit
It's like-
trigger happy when the method
it's
of
like
execution
poetry.
is a bit too easy. And
Oh,
it is
yeah.
like poetry, it rhymed.
Rhymes.
there's a number of like senators or mayors that if they could they'd bring either the guillotine or the firing squad back.
If anything was going to come back, it would be the firing squad, just because it means you're putting people through military court and just dusting off a law that's already in there. Bringing back the guillotine, or bringing the guillotine in for the first time for most places outside of France, yeah, that's not going to fucking happen.
you don't do that.
As much as, like, people who consider themselves politically left, but really they're like centrists, but with spice on Twitter, they think the guillotine is a great idea. They have no fucking idea what the French Revolution was like, because that would involve reading.
Reading, that's hard.
Yeah. It's very easy to just say, oh, that guy has money. Kill him.
Mordor.
Yeah, that's a system that's going to work and lead to a country that's not a dysfunctional fucking hellhole that's going to be taken over by China or Russia or Europe or Africa, since that's already a rising power.
Yeah. Anyway, back to the movie. So, yeah, Ames is killed in a very brutal fashion, and like it's actually really fucked up if you pay attention, because you can actually see there's like a red spot popping up where his chest is.
Yes.
So it is
he
very,
burst the fucking
very fucking violent death. It's actually pretty gruesome. And well,
this was not
and
painless.
it's another strategic vagueness. He doesn't actually say what he put in instead.
yeah,
He
just
doesn't
says
say what he did to the thing. He just says like, I put in something with a bit more punch.
Yeah, like nitroglycerin. So yeah, injects that shit into his body, and that happens. And it's probably the second most gruesome death in the entire movie. Because
So the first most gruesome, and I don't know if we're quite there yet, but that scene is something like it's like the one thing I really did remember from this movie.
well,
and
yeah,
the
it
thing
kinda
is,
sticks with you.
I remembered it wrong. It's like,
Oh.
in my memory, I remember like a lot more of the actual dismemberment and torturing scene.
Well, hang on.
happening,
We'll
and-
get there. So they track it down to Darby, who was the guy who they found a note saying you can't fight fate, which is what Darby said to both Nick and Clyde. So Nick uses that to kind of track him down to see how he's victimized. But while they're trying to get to Darby, Darby receives a phone call from an apparent guardian angel who gives him very specific details and information that wind up getting him out of the cops' search field and basically to quote unquote safety. But it's revealed that the guardian angel is Clyde Shelton. The gun thing, that part always kind of weirds me out. When he pulls the trigger and the pufferfish fucking quills go into his hand.
He would have felt that so long ago.
Maybe the grip. It looked like it came out of the grip. Do you have the thing open?
It did. It did come
Yeah,
out of the grip, yeah.
I have
So
the
yeah,
movie
in
up.
that case, if that's the case, like if it comes from the actual padded part of the grip, then yeah, that does make sense.
Yeah, so what it was is it was inside the mechanisms. It didn't actually stab him until he pulled the trigger.
Pulls the trigger,
When
and
he
you hear a
pulled the
little.
trigger, then it-
Yeah, we hear a little squelch, like a noise.
he would have felt it if the spikes were out the whole time, but the implication is that the pulling of the trigger puts them out.
Yes, because
Yeah.
you hear a little mechanism thing, and when he peels the gun out of his hand, you could see that he's clearly fucking it's all cut up is on his arm.
Oh yeah, I even pulled it back to when he pulled the gun out of Gerard Butler's holster.
Well, not Gerard Butler. This is a cop.
That looks exactly like Gerard Butler, but with glasses.
It doesn't look like him.
And
It
blonde
does. It does.
I'm trying to defend myself
I don't know, man.
I was a stupid child when I watched it.
The second time, I didn't pick it out as him.
Yeah.
Just because, the way the camera is, they kind of make it so you only ever see him from the side and not from very long and all of that. And then you see him from the back when Darby takes him out of the car, holds the gun to him and says, "Oh, it's my guardian angel. You don't mind if I take this, do you?" And then it's Gerard Butler is on the fucking phone. It's like, "Hey, by the way, yeah, I said I'd never see my wife and kid again. You know why, bitch?" And then it's this is what prompts Darby to pull the trigger.
Which is a natural
reasonable
response.
thing for Gerard
and
Butler to
it's
think
set,
he would do,
and
that
it's
triggers
set,
the mechanism.
And I forgot to mention, it's set up very perfectly because he's ditch the gun. He's like, "Why the fuck did I ditch my gun?" He's like,
bring ammo.
Did you bring ammo? And so he's like, "Ah, fuck!" And he throws the gun away. And so it's
Well, now-
set up perfectly for him to grab
we
this
can
gun.
assume just by looking at Darby that he's the kind of guy who probably wouldn't think far enough ahead to bring ammo, especially considering he was ambushed with the police outside his building.
Yeah, he's a good shot though.
But
He shot a fucking tire out.
If
the second
he
shot.
did, that
Yeah.
would kind of fuck up his whole thing. We're just arguing pure like what if territory here. It's not really a flaw in the movie because again, operating on the reasonable assumption that Darby is in a rush because he was only alerted to the police as soon as they were already within fucking viewing distance of his window, he was going to grab whatever gun was closest to him and begin running immediately. That's a reasonable assumption. So Gerard Butler's fine right now, but it is one of those things where if the plan was going to go wrong at any point, this was it.
Mm-hmm.
So I take it because also he's a tinkerer, so I'm
yeah, they
going
mentioned
back
he's a
to-
tinkerer, and we actually see that in the very beginning of.
So
Yeah, so it looks. This
I'm
looks
sorry.
a little tismy.
I'm gonna kind of say, unfortunately, a bit tism because the amount of springs that would be required for that. Like,
but here's the thing, though. Like, if a gun, then it kind of makes sense. Because, like, a gun, we know that a gun, a chamber, and a fucking spot for the magazine and all that shit. But this, if the fucking shell is meant to look like a gun, but all the inner mechanisms work for this, I can see this working.
yeah,
And
Yeah,
possibly.
clearly
if
this
that-
was
if-
not actually a functioning gun. If we saw this thing actually fire bullets and then also do the pufferfish poison thing, I would have a problem.
Yeah,
But
fair
we
enough.
don't.
This like he could have literally just had the end cap of the magazine like glued in, essentially.
Exactly.
So,
Like,
Yeah,
this,
I
this
fully
could just,
believe that if you try to unload that like a normal gun, you couldn't.
yeah, like
Like
this
that
is
shit
just
is custom.
like this isn't a fucking like these aren't two different pieces with the magazine and the fucking grip. Like this is like one like shell basically that looks like a gun. And yeah,
This is a
and-
poison trigger
Let me
in the
let me pull
shape of a
the
gun.
let me pull the filter down so the audience can see. This is what we were talking about.
yeah, and
'cause
those barbs can easily be hidden, shot out like whenever he pulls the trigger. So that makes sense.
Mhm.
And bear in mind as well, just as far as the poison administration goes, like those barbs would only have to go skin deep
Yeah.
in order for that poison to work.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and if you're thinking about it too with this is Darby isn't very smart in a lot of this. He relies on violence for everything. His response is, "Oh, this cop is tasered. I see a gun. I'm just going to immediately grab it." He's still in fight or flight mode from running from the first set of police. So he's not going to think anything past of, "Oh, hey, this is the police officer's gun. I'm going to take it."
Ooh, free gun.
Yeah,
Yes,
basically.
exactly.
And oh shit, guy I fucking wronged before. He's acting very threatening to me. Better pull the trigger.
Well, and side note on that, because this is something that's kind of sat with me, was the disguise fully necessary? And here's why I ask that is because until he started saying about you were the one that took my daughter and my wife, Darby didn't even click who he was. Like
Would you
he's
wanna
done
take-
so
would you
much,
wanna
his
take that-
rap-
Would you want to take that chance of Darby recognizing you?
I
Yeah,
understand
I'd
that, but I'm
allow it
just
purely
as
as
a side
precautionary.
point, like you saw the size of his rap sheet later on. You know that Clyde did his research. He knew Darby's rap sheet. Like, would you think that with everything he's done, he would think to recognize you?
Well,
Especially
no,
Considering the fact that
Clyde's-
I already have disguises on hand, I would
Yeah.
still use the disguise.
Yeah, and
I
Clyde's
understand
clearly.
that, and I do
purely
agree
precautionary.
with
Even
that, but it
Yeah.
was just kind of one of those little things of was it really needed?
I would say for a person who is
Probably
careful
not,
as
but,
Clyde, yes. He
like,
wants to make
there's
100%
good
sure
fucking chance that Clyde wouldn't have recognized him without a disguise.
Darby would
But
recognize.
considering he already had the disguises anyway, for him not to use them would be kind of silly.
Yeah,
That's fair.
and it wasn't a very like you big disguise, but like as anyone would
Yeah,
tell you, like it doesn't.
it's fake
It
face
doesn't.
hair.
It doesn't. It doesn't really take that much to fucking throw somebody off the trail.
Yeah, what was it? It was literally just like a mustache and glasses, wasn't it?
It was literally
was a
just a
must-
nose, mustache, and a wig and glasses.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's taking off the wig right there. Yeah. Like I said, and yeah, he finds out that he doesn't recognize. Probably fears his fucking anger a little bit more. But the point is, he didn't want to take the chance because he wants it to be right here when he recognizes him.
Also, I do like how he lets the cop go. Like, he was like,
Mhm.
thanks for the car.
So I feel like that's a plot hole that needs to be. So finally, we get to the part where Slur was talking about, where Clyde now has the man who's murdered his and his daughter right where he wants him, and he can literally do whatever he wants to do with him.
And boy, fucking does he.
And this is like one of the most iconic scenes in the fucking movie.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Considerably brutal, especially the way he's just like casually talking about how he's gonna fucking destroy his body.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
And, like,
remember earlier when I was talking about like the strategic vagueness?
Mm-hmm.
This is strategic simplicity. This is, I'm not gonna like throw jargon and scientific bullshit at you. I'm just gonna say adrenaline. I'm pumping adrenaline into you so you don't pass out. I'm putting tourniquets on your limbs so
So
that
you
I
don't
can
bleed
cut them
out.
off without you bleeding to death. And I'm
So
gonna
you-
cut your eyelids off in case you fucking shut your
In case
eyes.
you find
He's like,
fucking
he
son,
makes
shut
it
them.
so simple. He makes it so simple. And even though realistically you can't really cut a limb off, even if it's tourniquet, you can't cut a limb off without the body going into shock and shutting down anyways. But like now we're getting into like minutia detail. Especially considering the guy's like chemically currently being pumped full of adrenaline. We can fill in the blank and say it's like he's administered more and more and more as the torture went on until eventually the guy died and then he just fucking cuts the head off and he's done. It's like,
Yeah.
and this is the thing I was saying, it's like this whole the torture scene, whatever, I remembered more of it actually being in the movie than ever was. The movie is almost like PG-12 with how little it really shows. You see like a dismembered limb already, some blood splatters here and there, but
Well,
you don't see
see
anything actually happening.
Yeah, you don't see anything happen. You see the head though.
Yeah, you see the end result.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see the end result, which is like a fully dismembered torso, a couple of dismembered limbs, and a severed head. Well, the back of a severed head on a table. It's like they're
Even
quite strategic with how almost PG they keep it.
Mm-hmm.
But, and this is what I was gonna get at, is I remember it being so much more graphic because of how much my imagination filled in all of the fucking details.
Mhm.
Like that torture scene, I think I played the entire thing out in my head the first time I saw this movie when I was a teenager.
Yeah. Well, I think
Because
like because
fucking hell is it brutal.
I think because also Clyde is describing
He
what he's going to do.
describes
So
Yes.
describes
you,
it.
And this is
He
the thing,
describes
he
it.
tells
Yeah.
him what he's going
then
to
you-
do to him, and
so
then
then
we
you
don't
like
see
picture it
happen.
in your head, like him
Well,
Yeah.
slicing
well, and here's the
eyelids
thing, guys. He describes it twice. Like, that's the thing. Darby,
Yeah, and literally just
and
like
then in
showing
his
him the
confession,
various tools, like, now this is one, this is a box cutter. This is for your penis, and you just
Yeah.
like puts it down. Blah, blah, blah.
but
And
we'll
this,
get that later.
this is a scalpel. This is for your eyelids in case you get the stupid idea to fucking close them. And then he shows the full body mirror so that this guy can watch himself being gradually dismembered. Like, holy fuck, that is
Yeah,
and-
brutal.
and then
And of
he-
course, on
Genius.
in the middle of the fucking mirror too is the picture of his wife and daughter.
It's like they
That's
are
like-
the last thing you are going to see. It's like that entire
So
scene
good.
is
Yeah,
just
they're gonna they're gonna
fucking
watch you
perfect.
suffer.
It's so good.
Love
It's so fucking good.
And then
and-
he also described went later to Nick. He was like, I cut his balls off with a hacksaw.
His eyes with a
Here's
scalp.
the
Because
thing for me though, is like I forgot the whole he's kind of like a spy kind of guy angle. I completely forgot that on this watch through. This watch through was like, oh, so it's like he's just an engineer who's been driven fucking insane by bloodlust and revenge, and this is the end result. It's like, honestly,
I mean,
yeah, that
it's-
checks out. If you understand
To be
anything about
fair-
human biology
To be
and
fair,
anything
that's not-
you
that-
can come up with
That's
this.
literally the plot of
yeah, well, hang on. I was about to say that doesn't change anything. The fact that he was an engineer for the government, he's still a fucking engineer.
Yeah.
like that.
Absolutely,
That does
yeah.
not change
It's
anything.
like if you removed the spy angle that comes in later into this movie, and remember, it's like it only comes in later in this movie. At this point in the movie, if you're watching it for the first time, you just know that he's kind of an engineer, and this completely checks out. And honestly, yeah, fucking big thumbs up.
Mhm.
Because then
Yeah.
when you find out that it actually goes deeper later on, it doesn't conflict with anything that's been established previous.
Yeah, and it
Yeah.
just shows that the other character's like, oh fuck, we're in trouble. Like,
It's like now we know what we're dealing with.
one of my favorite
Like,
lines
we
is,
knew he
"I'm
was
sorry,"
a deranged fucking clever guy. We didn't
Yeah.
know it was this bad.
and I love the fucking line from I forgot the fucking mentor's name, but it's like, "Ma'am, he's very angry." And I say he's very smart and he's very angry. it's like okay.
Yep.
And it's a really interesting thing because I wanted to tie it to this, but I feel like Zemo from Civil War is like an attempt at Clyde.
Yeah, I see the comparison.
A man, I have experience and patience. A man could do anything with the. I feel like that embodies Clyde Shelton to a T.
I feel like I don't really remember Zemo from Civil War well enough to
Fair enough.
kind of go
But
in, but like
That was the
Yeah.
whole thing. Is like
I don't
that
know.
Zemo.
I feel
Zemo
like
was
Shelton is deliberately much more grounded in that he could be anyone, whereas Zemo is very specifically this is somebody special.
Yeah, don't you know he's rich and he has a butler.
But no, that's from Falcon.
That's from.
Soldier,
I'm
so
talking
just
about
leave that
specifically
completely out of it.
specifically from Civil War. Like he
Yeah, the
is
good
shown
one.
to be doing major things while being
Yeah,
shown to
he's
not be
shown
really
to be
being
like a huge fucking player, not an everyman.
Mm-hmm. Well, no. Like he's kind of shown to be an everyman because he's not a
Zemo?
superhero. He's not a superhero. He's not anything.
Well, okay,
He's
yeah.
Sokovian Special
Compared to
Forces.
literal super soldiers, I guess he's an everyman. But then, like,
Yeah.
so is the fastest, strongest human to have ever lived.
Well, yeah. Like I said, I just feel Zemo was a failed attempt at trying to recreate Clyde Shelton.
That would have made Civil War a lot more gruesome and honestly better.
It gives Civil War a fucking R rating.
I know,
The
dude.
guy he,
Unironically, yes.
the guy he kills for the fucking Winter Soldier notebook, instead of just drowning him in a sink, he's like, I'm gonna cut off your limbs.
Well, instead of drowning him in a sink that like he wasn't drowning in, but
Oh yeah, he can still
mean-
very much breathe.
his
That
nose
was
and mouth
stupid.
are above the fucking water. But all right. Anyway.
Even if it overflowed, he'd still be fine.
And so, yeah, he records a whole hacks on Jim Duggan fucking scat with Darby.
And he sends it to
Continue
Electro's
for me. I gotta run
house.
to the bathroom.
Now, Electro's daughter watches the thing, and Shelton did not plan for that. That wasn't part of his thing. It was a completely unintentional side effect, and he never really apologizes for it. In fact, if anything, he doubles down and says, like, oh yeah, your kid absolutely should have watched that. It's a story about good triumphing over evil. It's like,
Yeah.
bruh.
It's like, yeah. Well, what are you gonna do?
I don't.
Yeah.
Did somebody explain why he gets all naked when the cops are like kicking down the door?
It's so as part of the arrest process, he doesn't have to be searched. It's literally just presenting himself as unthreatening as possible. So there's
Exactly.
literally no excuse to like
Shoot him.
try and think he has anything. He's guaranteeing that he's taken in alive, intact, and unharmed.
Because they
Alright.
can't say, well, we questioned there was a weapon we had to shoot when you're standing there. But
Well, it depends on what he's swinging in there.
That fucking
Oh my-
hammer.
Oh my god, he's
Yeah.
packing. Shoot!
I know I shot a naked man, but I mean, it's Jared Butler. The man's got a fucking tripod.
Can we go back to the kid seeing the movie for a minute and how much it bothered me that he made the comment that she's too old for a nightlight? It's like after seeing that and being traumatized as a child, and then as her father, your comment is, well, isn't she too old for a nightlight?
Yeah,
Dude,
it's like I
that
think
was
Well,
shitty.
to be fair, he does immediately go on and say it's like, "But okay, yes, I did put the nightline." Because when we actually see the kid, and this is another like neat little detail, even though she's like over 10 years old, it's like she's a grown kid. Sounds like a fucking paradox in my head, but you know what I mean. Like she's not like a little kid; she's a kid. But like when she's sleeping, it's like she's sucking her thumb, and it's like the doors open a crack. Like she's much smaller than she would be because she's had a fucker of a day. But
Yeah, the
even then,
whole
it's like
sucking of the thumb
he's
thing
trying
has
to
been
do this like dual thing of acting like everything's normal and fine and under control by saying it's like she's fine. I've told her it wasn't real. It was a horror movie. She shouldn't have been looking at it anyway. She's going to be okay. Isn't she a little bit old for a nightlight? It's like acting like everything's normal. But when the wife, who actually did a pretty good job considering she had like what 5 lines for the whole movie, when she's like, "Please tell me you left the nightlight," it's like she's very visibly concerned, and he immediately backs down. He's like, "Yes, yes, I left the light on." It's like it's fine. It's like I love you, I love her, I love everybody. Things are going to be okay. It's like you can kind of see him trying to dance 2 different things at the same time. It's like trying to make everything okay
Yeah.
and normal while
He's
also
doing-
addressing the fact that some fucked shit has just happened.
Yeah, he's just being like the strong dad figure.
Mm.
It's
So
like,
fu-
well, come on, she's grown up, and it's just like, all right, yeah, okay, yeah, I'll put the nightlight on her, it's fine.
Suffice to say, things went down when she watched that video.
Yeah, that shit was fucked.
Yeah, and
I was
this is
not
the thing,
expecting.
is
I
like,
was not expecting
as a
that.
kid who grew up with the internet and saw some shit I shouldn't have on Live Leak, real violence, you can fucking tell. Like,
Mm-hmm.
however young you are, you can tell. And so one of your parents coming in saying it was all fake, it was a horror movie, you shouldn't have been seeing it anyway, it's a nice little comfort thing, but as she gets older, it's like, she knows what she fucking saw.
Yeah,
Let's see. So that we have the interrogation scene where Jamie Foxx then says, "Yeah, as a father, bravo, you fucking big dick legend." They get the whole thing about like, he tries to get a confession out of him, but he basically uses tricky little language there. He's like, "I've thought about doing it, like I've fantasized about it."
yeah, they both deserve to die.
And he's like, "I will give you a confession if you get me a mattress." And they're
You
all
kind of skipped a step because you missed the part where he pretends like that is the confession,
I
and
thought,
Jamie Foxx, despite being
Yeah.
a professional lawyer,
He's like, I'm
actually
satisfied.
acts like
I
it's a
thought-
confession.
you brought that up earlier. That's why I was.
I did bring it up earlier, but like as it's coming up in chronological order, I think it's like
Fair-
this is one
fair
of.
enough.
It's like even earlier we see him answer his phone in court, and I kind of pointed that out when we were watching. It's like, hang on, the fuck. If you're a lawyer and your phone rings in court, you rush to fucking turn it off or rip the battery out if that's what it takes to make it stop making noise within like 2 seconds of you noticing it. Because holy shit, that's a big faux pas. You literally shouldn't have it on your person. The
Yeah,
bailiff should
most-
have it on his person.
Yeah, because most lawyers, you're being told normally to leave it at the door.
Well, either
Yeah.
you have it in your locker or there's a security guard that you actually hand it to before trial begins, and then you just grab it off him at the end of the trial. But
But I
either way,
think-
it shouldn't be in your pocket, and it absolutely shouldn't be making noise.
And I get where you're coming from with that, but I think that also kind of ties in a little bit to the whole point of this, because I personally have witnessed and seen where
And I'm
certain
back. Where are
judges
we at?
and
We're talking
where
about the
certain
phone.
judges and lawyers are super buddy and they will let them get away with murder and all kinds of things they should not get away with because they know each other.
That's true.
I mean, that also very much depends on the court in question. If it's, local small claims court, that kind of shit, it absolutely slides. It slides every day. Because the lawyers in questions, like state prosecutors and attorneys and the judges who deal with this kind of stuff, they know each other on a first name fucking basis because they see each other every goddamn day. Whereas in a murder trial, I feel like that wouldn't slide as easily. But these are probably still two people who know each other on a first name basis. So
Easily.
it's not actually a flaw in the writing of the movie. It's just something I noticed about him as a lawyer. But we're still very much within the world of the movie, if that makes sense. Like, this isn't something that took me out. It's not something I saw the writer's hand in. It's just, while immersed in the world of this movie, I was like, hang on. You're better than that, aren't you?
Hang on, we're
You should be.
Wait, what specifically are you talking about?
We're talking about when he answered his phone in court.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well,
But at the same
so the
time,
implication,
show that he's got a really high ego. So I kind
actually,
of worry in.
I was about to say, actually, the implication I got was because his wife is
Because his wife is what now?
pregnant. Because
Yeah, I
remember when
didn't
he
even
gets
think about
remember when he gets home. And side note, I really love that Brenda from Scary Movie got an actual acting role. I think she's actually really good.
Wait, she's
Yeah.
in Scary Movie?
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
the fucking black.
Recognize her.
She's the black chick from Scary Movie. I always had a crush on her as well. And she looks good in this movie. And she does well in this movie as well. But yeah, no, she's super
Everyone
preggers.
looks good in this movie, to be fair. I mean,
Everybody looks
everybody
amazing.
is like, even the people who aren't explicitly attractive,
Well, Darby
they're
looks
still
like
like
shit.
Hollywood average.
I was gonna say Darby doesn't look like a Hollywood actor.
Yeah, but he looks like an Irish cop, which, as far as Irish
Yeah.
people are concerned, is Hollywood attractive.
Hey, that is Miles O'Brien we are fucking talking about right now.
He looks like shit, dude. What do you want me to tell you? I don't give a fuck what he's done. He
Hey, he's
doesn't
Irish.
look
What the
good.
fuck do you want?
Yeah. That's what I'm
Well,
saying.
potato people,
But
they're
why?
small.
No, but like, why? It's like, hey, you show respect. It's like I can show respect all I want to. He looks like trash, because that's also the point of his character. Is also to look trashy.
Okay, can
But,
I go back to the confession for a second? Just because of a legality point that's I'm questioning here, is they keep bringing up about not just Darby but Ames as well. Can he really be charged for Ames? Because Ames was already slated to die. He just made it painful.
Cruel. They literally
Well,
say it in the
see,
movie.
that's the thing. The way it works is like, the
cruel and
fact
unusual
that he
punishment.
tampered with the execution process is in and of itself a crime for which he can be charged.
And the crime also made the process completely horrendous. So it's
Also,
basically
bear in
before.
mind the fact that he interfered with a execution process means that legally everything that happened as part of that process, up to and including the death of the subject, is now on his head, unless he argues the specific legalities himself.
Okay,
So-
that makes
I
more
love
From
their
the
stare downs, by
outset,
the way.
he's being charged with the murder of both people.
Mhm.
Now, a
And-
lawyer, a good lawyer, if he got counsel, could argue that, like, he didn't kill that guy. He just made his death more painful. And then, you know, depending on the judge, depending on how the case goes, he could be charged anywhere from murder to manslaughter. It's kind of up in the air. But see, the fact that it's up in the air is also part of Shelton's whole fucking point. It
Why,
really
if you-
shouldn't be. It's like he's there in the court, shit talking the judge, saying, it's like, you were about to fucking let me go because I spilled you some fucking precedents? Are you serious, you stupid bitch? Who
I bet
probably
that's
takes it up the
exactly
hole?
what
I bet you take it up the fucking ass. Bitch. That's
well, we
such a
missed-
fucking good line.
See you later,
go-
Nick.
All right, see you later, Nick. Bring it back. Bring it back. I was gonna say, bring it back to right after the when they're out of prison, because there is a line that straight up says it's cruel and unusual punishment.
Oh yeah, it's right around here.
Right there, yeah, almost right there. Like back it up even a little bit more and put the subtitles on. Like that's what the little bomb squad cop says.
Well,
I'm
yes,
trying-
I
I'm
understand.
trying to keep
cruel
the
and unusual
subtitles off,
punishment,
'cause,
but the whole thing of it is what I was asking is, can they really charge him for murder for someone that was set to be executed?
It depends on how the case goes.
And in this particular
bear in mind,
case,
like, the chemicals that went into the man's body that killed him were directly as a result of this man's tampering. It no longer matters whether he was meant to die anyways. The fact of the matter is that this guy killed him. Like, if a man is on death row He's due to be executed in literally 2 minutes, and you walk into a cell and shoot him in the head, you've still committed murder.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes, that's fair.
So, like,
okay.
the fact that he tampered with the execution method means that he is now responsible for the execution method, and the specific details are what his lawyer would have to argue down. But from the outset, he's looking at murder.
That makes more sense.
And so yeah, I'm glad that got a good hearty reaction from everybody in the call.
Oh yeah, he's shit talking the judge.
Take it up the fucking ass.
Well, hold
I
on.
remember that
The
was
judge never gets talked to like that, so it's just satisfying on principle.
just yeah.
Well, I liked your
very
reaction.
minimal.
Slur was like, "Well, she looks the type." It's like,
I mean, am I wrong? Am I wrong?
I don't know. I don't know.
don't
She
know.
runs for
Yeah, I
all
don't-
she's
I
a
don't know
pegger.
what-
Like,
Yeah, I was gonna
really?
say,
That
we don't-
woman owns at least 10 bad dragons.
Fair. Oh well.
oh my
man,
god!
that's the beauty about her being a judge. She could do whatever the damn well she wants to. Hello.
So,
Fucking wind tunnel.
so we missed like the brief detail, and that was when he gets the deal for the mattress, and the warden says like, "Oh, I feel a little sorry for you because the inmates, it's not the haves, it's the have-nots." And I would not want to
Oh,
be
that
the
is
one with the
very
have.
fucking real as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Nice bed. Thanks. That's a single.
It's single. And this is the thing, is like Gerard Butler throughout this entire movie is infectiously fucking likable.
He's so great.
And
Such
it
a-
really sells his whole part in this.
Yeah,
He's so great,
him
man.
eating the steak with the guy was like, I thought he was about to
He's
make
like,
a friend.
yeah, I
and-
bet it's like, if I don't share this with you and the other guy finishes and is like, yeah, I'm gonna punch you, I'm gonna clock
gonna-
back.
I'm gonna
punch you so hard it's
I'm gonna reach- I'm
Well,
gonna
then
reach back
fucking
my
grab a
hand and
seat, my
smash
dude. It's like,
fucking-
have some pasta, enjoy. It's like, and it's like, yeah, you can see how, even if you're this other prisoner who's watching this other guy play the same system that fucked you like a fiddle, if he says like, yeah, it's like, yeah, I get it. Come over, have some pasta. Do you want some steak? Here's the remote. It's like, fucking put on some music, my dude.
I know.
And it's like, yeah, the guy's like, you know what? This guy actually, he's all right. He's all right. I was like, oh no, I'm being stabbed in the neck.
with
Well, yeah, like they even have like a little bit of camaraderie. I got a couple girls in it. You don't got a boy.
You know
You know what I mean?
Like, here, dude.
Like I said, like yeah, you're right. It does look cute. I remember
And-
watching it the first time, and it's like, and then I was like, wait, the T-bone. It's like, oh fuck.
Yes, I was actually about to bring this up. Smart, once again, how he's like, oh yeah, I want a porterhouse, which is one of the only cuts that has like a pretty sharp point of the T-bone.
Mm-hmm.
This is something I want to ask actually, and it just goes back to food for some.
Yes, it goes-
fucking
yes,
reason.
it
I don't
can
know
go
why we
good with
keep
eggs,
ending
by the
up
way.
talking about food, but
It can go good with eggs.
wait here. Right, Tom. They lied to you earlier. They were dishonest. They were deceitful. They tricked you into agreeing with it. Here's the thing: it's not about beef and eggs. It's about the fact that this friend I have in Florida, she chopped up fucking just pure diced beef, chunks of fucking steak in an omelette. Which means you now have an overly dry steak that's not really going to be very good beef, and you have an omelette that's fucked up because it's got big fucking chunks of meat in it. It's a whole thing, and now they're just trying to get you to agree with them to prove a point and like dunk on me, but they're wrong. They're wrong. Anyways,
We're
But
not
technically,
wrong.
Isn't an omelet a chunk
I
of meat
see.
anyway?
I see you're very liberal with the use of the word eggs and didn't specify that it was an omelet.
Listen,
right? Aren't they?
listen, they're good people on both sides. Okay, look, all right. That's all I'm saying.
You lied to me, Lisa. You betrayed me.
You're tearing me apart, Yarp!
Oh, hi,
Everyone
Mark.
betrayed
How's your
me. I'm
sex
fed
life?
up with this
And
world.
also your eggs and steak.
All right. Okay. Listen,
Oh,
I may have
goodness.
admitted the fact that it was an omelet, but
You
my
did.
position still holds that steak and eggs is fucking baller. So
Not for breakfast.
Yes, it
Not
is!
for breakfast. You should not be
you
eating
fucking
steak
Europeans,
for
you're not allowed to
breakfast.
talk.
Too much
You don't have
Shut
no
up.
freedom of
Shut up,
speech.
you bigot.
Fine.
Shut up, you bigot.
You, Why pause the fucking movie? No, actually, yes. What the fuck is the problem with having a nice protein-filled breakfast?
Dude, there's
It's
nothing.
too
There's
much
A
protein.
nice little protein-filled breakfast is like porridge and like some other things in it, not a giant steak
Porridge
and a
is
fucking omelet.
It's not a
carbohydrates.
giant. It's usually
Like,
it's usually not a giant steak.
Egg in the Mandarantonymic.
It's
No.
usually sirloin. It's a very thin steak.
Or a skirt steak.
Still just a fucking steak for breakfast.
Still a
Eggs
steak.
are already a lot of protein.
It's a lot of
I'm
meat.
But
I'm
look,
gonna do
You
a
also
cooking
fucking
stream, and I'm just
realize-
gonna make eggs and steak like on camera. I'm gonna
What do
make
you
watch
have?
Slur.
What do you have for lunch and dinner if steak and omelet is your breakfast?
Then you
Well,
have
you have
another
steak-
steak
well, then
and
you
a
have
potato.
another steak. What the fuck is wrong with you? And then for dinner, you have a chicken salad to fucking wrap it
What
up.
are you fucking? What are you, The Rock? Is that
Yes.
giant?
On my
trying to
cheat
become-
day is 16 pizzas, Chicago style.
And
Oh, God.
8 boxes of Dunkin' Donuts.
No, that's the dessert for your breakfast.
I love.
Ah, yeah.
That's
That
the
just reminded me of the
second breakfast.
what about second breakfast?
We're
It's okay,
hobbits.
Claire, I'm
What
with
about
you
second
on this
steak?
one.
America is just the Shire.
Sorry,
It's like they're
Stacey. What was
hobbits, but they're 6 foot
I
tall
said
and
it's
also
okay,
6 foot wide.
Fleur. I'm with you on this one.
that? I'll concede that you can fuck up a steak omelet.
Yeah, you can.
Because
You should.
A
A
You
steak
should
omelet as a fucking concept is already
No.
an abomination.
no,
If you want
Slur, I will
onions
fight
to
you
put
on
in your
this.
breakfast, use bacon. It's already perfect. It contours to the shape of the food.
Slur, the fighting words. I will fucking.
Look, I have a steak, egg, and cheese pita sometimes for breakfast. Okay, I will
That
admit,
sounds fucking delicious.
I will
It
admit,
sounds like 3
sometimes
meals.
It's not an omelet. That's different.
that's true. But I'm saying, I will admit though that like sometimes that day is not a productive day.
All right, look. Here in Ireland, we have this thing
That's
called a breakfast roll. It's literally just like a full length of baguette filled with sausage, bacon, 2 eggs, white pudding, black pudding, and ketchup
Why
and
would you
butter.
put pudding in a sandwich?
Okay, here's the thing. When I
Not-
say pudding,
it's
I mean
not like
Irish breakfast pudding. It's a pork product. It's savory.
No,
it's
I'm
not
fucking with you. I had Yorkshire pudding like a few days ago. Yorkshire pudding, by
still
the
the
way,
wrong thing,
sucks.
but I admire the spirit.
I'm
What were you
surprised
about-
Tom.
Breakfast roll is like 1,000+ calories in one fucking meal. It's the entire fat content of like 3 days for breakfast. The only people who eat it are builders and students, and it is like a national fucking treasure. It's amazing.
I'll
So I
definitely give it a
get
try.
the idea of having a lot of meat and protein and fat and grease for breakfast. That is not my problem. My problem is that you fucked up a perfectly good omelet.
So that's why normally when
and the steak.
hold on, so,
And
so
a steak.
So yes,
Which is more expensive.
a steak
Listen.
omelet can be fucked up, and if they do so, they should be go to jail for fucking up a great steak. But just the concept of a steak next to some decently fried eggs with some toast.
It's not next to it. It's not you. You see,
No,
Tom,
that's
they're doing it again.
You're doing it again.
Well,
Was it-
okay,
You're doing it again.
Speaking at this point, I'm not like gonna fucking say it. Yeah, I was specifically talking about omelets.
I say if your steak is next to your eggs, fine. If your steak is
Well-
mixed in with your eggs, that is
But
where
it's
well,
not-
it seems like
it's
Slur
not
was having
eggs.
a problem with both.
And
Like,
whoa, 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 whoa.
one of the sides was like a scoop of scrambled eggs. We're fine. Neither of these two things have been fucked up.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
If
alright.
you serve an omelet, but in the omelet is just fucking chunks of
Fun.
diced beef,
Guys,
you
come on,
fucked up an omelet.
let's Scooby Doo this shit. Let's get back on track.
No, this
No.
is very important.
No, fuck the movie.
Wow.
Civil right.
Gerard Butler, get out! He just goes, oh, okay.
I want to debate for another 2 hours about steak and eggs.
Well, you guys are just wrong though.
Yeah, that's, I mean, like,
Well,
but we
okay,
got-
okay, wait. Hold on.
This
Nobody's
is
addressed
wrong.
the important point. I understand you guys aren't cool with the idea of a steak omelet. What about like a steak, egg, and cheese burrito?
What?
Ooh.
Mm.
Oh,
How is
fuck
the beef
yeah.
Ah, damn it! He came in with the fucking hard count.
Yeah,
Just
Like, if we're
swipes
talking,
in with the
thin strips
fucking.
of beef so that like they're nice and tender and chewy, and like when you take a bite of the burrito, you're taking a nice bite of beef and cheese and salsa and everything as well.
Mhm.
We're good. That sounds fucking delightful.
Well, to twist it here, that's the same way it's prepared for the omelet.
Mm-hmm.
but it's not. But see,
What do you mean?
this
What
is
do you
back to the
mean?
very
You
You don't
origin.
know.
It's how
You
it
never
should
had
be.
it!
The absolutes,
No,
dog.
no,
What's going on here?
no. We have to go back to the very origin of this whole fucking argument, which is a friend of mine from Florida was showing me, like, she was making like things for dinner, and they were doing breakfast for dinner. She made like a steak, and it was like actual chunks of diced beef.
Oh, okay, then
See,
she
in
does it
time-
wrong. She's
Yeah, she
doing
did it
it
wrong.
Then see, now we're getting to the crux of the issue, because it's not actually beef and egg as a flavor combination that I have a problem with. It's what I was presented with as the steak and egg standard, and I was like, what the fuck is this shit? Burgers,
no.
please explain.
No, I'm sorry your friend cooks tarded. I don't know what to tell you.
So Ninja, thank you by the way for making my breakfast seem like fucking inadequate when you brought up the fucking burrito. Because now I'm just like, I look at this.
Burritos aren't a breakfast food.
Yes, they
Oh, they
are.
Okay, what the fuck?
We literally have breakfast burritos with scrambled eggs and cheese and potatoes and bacon or sausage or steak.
Burrito.
Steak.
That's not a burrito.
What
Bro,
do
it's
you mean?
literally the Mexicans are advertising it as a
That's a
burrito.
normal breakfast that you Yankee fucks put in a tortilla.
Motherfucker, the people that work at Lalo's are goddamn Mexican, okay?
Yeah, but they're in America, and they're making food for you fucks.
As being half Australian, I get where you're coming from, Slur. There's a lot of it that it's just like, what the fuck? I get it.
Fuck, I want a fucking burrito now. God damn it.
I mean, honestly, same, just not for fucking breakfast.
Shut your fucking mouth. You don't. I'm with Max now. You don't get to talk.
I'll just say, like, we're fucking Americans. We're allowed to say whatever we want to and make whatever we want to.
If I want
Greatest
to,
country on the goddamn planet.
if I want to
And
We
shove
have
three,
freedom.
if I want to shove 3 steaks into a burrito and then just chow down, I have the fucking right to do so.
Stop putting
you're gonna end up like
steaks
the
in
Dutch
food and calling it
whatever
more
you
American.
want it to be.
You can do it, but I'm allowed to also say it's a sin against God.
Indeed.
This is why we broke away from you in the first place.
Yeah, because literally this is what it was. It wasn't about putting steak in omelets.
Not about taxes, not about like tea or any of that kind of stuff.
Nah.
Not about representation. No, it was just you saw an American put a fucking a bit of steak inside their eggs, and you went, oh, your monocle's popped off. Your tea basically
Your
boiled in your
monocle
hand.
flew off your fucking face. You shot yourself in your red coat.
Because Wallace would be able to see his bleeding.
Oh boy. So yeah, Gerard Butler has steak in his cell, and
Yep, and the steak looks delicious.
And apparently,
they said-
some bomb ass macaroni and cheese.
It looks like the most. Yeah, Munster macaroni and cheese sounds fucking radical.
Fucking hungry as shit now. God damn it.
hey, moving on to the argument, pasta with steak. What's that about?
Macaroni and cheese with steak isn't that bad. It's a
I
weird
think
side.
he just wanted a carb, and he did. Well, hold on. He didn't order macaroni and cheese. He ordered pommes frites.
Yeah, he's on
You
pommes
didn't
frites.
get
What is pommes frites?
Yeah, but that
Pommes
yeah, but
frites
then
is a
But
specific
pommes frites is like
kind of
it's just French
potato.
for chips.
yeah,
Yeah,
Nick was
okay.
like, "Fuck your pommes frites."
Fuck your pommes
Yeah.
frites. Yeah,
It's a good line, but it means nothing.
that was a good. That's his slight rebellion against fucking Gerard Butler's demands. He's like, you're not getting potatoes, you're getting macaroni.
Yeah, and you
I
would like
mean,
it.
Yeah, honestly.
He's gonna play. As I said, that's the mentor. He's gonna play. We're gonna play him. Get him
But
macaroni.
yeah, it's like pommes frites. I think it
See how you
literally
like
just
that,
means
bitch.
fried potatoes. It's what the French call fries. So when you say French
Mm.
fries, you've just translated pommes frites. Because
Pommes
pommes
frites.
terre is
Okay,
potatoes.
that is one of the sides I actually do question. Steak with French fries is I've always thought is a bit weird.
That's weird. Another
Why is
steak.
that weird?
Another steak fries.
Why is
but
that
it's like,
weird?
It's
Because-
meat with
hold on,
potatoes.
hold on, if
Those
I'm-
two things
weird.
always
you,
go.
You fucking shut your mouth, Wyatt. That
I
is
will-
not weird at all. I'm
I'd
with
rather just
Slurry
have
and the English
I'd rather
Muffin.
just have a baked
Yeah.
potato by that
There are
point.
literally called steak fries for a fucking reason.
yeah, but they take
Yeah,
steak with
fucking
burgers.
steak and chips, and then you like put A1 sauce over the whole fucking.
Do
caboodle
not
and
sauce
you're
your fucking
good to go.
steaks!
No, you can literally
Good.
use the fries to scoop up the steak drippings. That's the
Yeah.
point.
I'm sorry,
Literally,
hold-
yes. It's so
Hold on,
fucking
Slur,
good.
did
They
you
absorb
just
all of
fucking...
it.
I wasn't married to this idea, but you're like,
Yeah, I'm fucking selling you on it, right?
oh,
Yeah,
fuck it,
boy.
I mean,
not gonna lie.
chips are just fucking good food.
Do not
almost
sauce your
everything.
fucking steak, though.
Shut up. You're
It
fucking
depends.
Puritan. You sounded
So
like that
here's
with
the thing.
fucking omelet.
I mean, don't use fucking ketchup.
You can
Goddamn
argue
idiot.
not to
Yeah, don't put
sauce your
ketchup on
steak
your
as long as
fucking
you
mustard.
have actually seasoned your steak.
Yeah,
The idea that you should just have unseasoned, unflavored
No, don't do that.
beef because you're a
No.
steak purist is fucking retarded.
No, it's not,
Put
no, I
some
was
fucking
just saying
flavor in that shit.
no,
Yeah,
salt, pepper, cast iron pan, thyme,
You-
garlic.
No,
you-
that's
We're gonna
not
get
enough. You need
sidetracked
some
another
garlic
steak
butter in that
argument,
shit.
ladies and gentlemen.
That
Steak.
is literally
thing.
Gordon Ramsay makes a fucking steak.
Sear it in garlic butter. Put some
Ramsay is
thyme
the
in there.
fucking
It's
only
like, you
factor
need some
steaks.
flavor. Beef
Yeah,
on its
it's
own
basted in
isn't that
garlic
good.
butter, so it still has.
Yeah.
This conversation just kind of stopped for a second. What happened?
Yeah, wait, what happened? Yeah, like everybody who's talking like fucking cut out.
I think Stacy cut out the middle of her sentence.
Oh, I was just saying, like he was saying about Gordon Ramsay, it's like he still bastes it in garlic butter.
Yeah,
It
no,
Yeah,
that's
is
what
he
not
still
a
puts
dry-ass
fucking
steak.
flavor and
Yeah, no,
seasoning
that was-
on there,
that's
so
what
that
I-
when he serves it on the plate, you don't have to put sauce on there.
Yeah,
But when
that's-
you just fucking sear it in the pan to cook the steak and you put it on a plate, if you just eat that plain, you're a fucking medieval peasant. What are you doing?
Yeah, you're a bit of a
Yeah.
psychopath if you do just eat like unseasoned. The unseasoned me is like, yep, oh god, especially if it was well done.
But no, yeah, no. It's like fucking steak, chips, mushrooms, pepper sauce. It's fucking perfect dinner right there.
Isn't that steak au pois?
I mean, it's probably
that has
called something in
peppercorns.
French, but the rest of the world just calls it in whatever language they already speak. Saying something in French doesn't make it sound fancier. It just makes you sound more English.
Well, no, doesn't that?
Yeah.
I thought that was just the name of the dish.
No.
No.
Yeah, and the pancake is called a crepe.
Well, no, it's a thin.
No,
Things
that's
are
a
called
thin.
different things.
No,
in
crepes
French.
are thin pancakes. Thank you very
Uh,
much.
Okay, now we're gonna get into a whole fucking thing about what
Yeah, so
Americans call
let's-
pancakes when they're
yeah,
like a
let's
fucking
not.
centimeter thick.
Yeah, let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and end this right now. How does everybody like their steak cooked?
Medium rare,
Rare.
like God intended.
Either
Sure.
rare or medium, depending on where I am. If
Rare.
I trust the restaurant, I'm going rare. If I'm like kind of iffy or I'm new there, I'm going medium.
Rare every time.
Actually, hold on. I retract my sentence because it all depends on the cut. Filet mignon is better rare. A porterhouse
Yes.
is better served medium rare. A New York strip, same thing because the porterhouse is half a New York strip.
Yeah, okay, but basically medium rare. Ninja
Yeah, medium rare.
and Stacy.
Medium rare.
All right, good.
All right, we're all on the
Basically,
same.
just scanned
Sounds
like
good,
to
people.
purge the well done heretics, and like we passed.
Yeah, we.
See, here's the thing. Here's the thing. My mom's probably listening to this. I love you, mom, but god damn it, she had me hating steaks for the longest time because she'd always
Oh,
get it
dude,
well
my
done.
mom's the exact
No!
same. She cooks it like
Yeah, I
fucking
grew up in
boot
a
leather.
family that always did well
Dad
done
got
steak.
up and fucking did a medium rare, well, like perfectly done, and it's like, oh, this is what's up.
I used to think the grill was like the absolute like only place you could put a steak, and then I used to hate it as well because my dad would grill the shit out of it and it'd be like charred and a bit well done. It's like then somebody showed me the cast iron method. It's like, oh, this is what a steak actually tastes like.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, just double checking that. So we're back to,
I'm
we're back to law-abiding
flashing
citizen.
back anytime my family's been at a restaurant and my mom has actually had to like pull the waiters out and be like, no, seriously, I want to be able to sharpen knives on this shit. Cook it fucking well.
It's just so fucking terrible for your steak. Anyway,
My dad was the
There's
same
no
way.
flavor.
No, there's not.
Chewing
There's not
on
more
an old
flavor.
chew.
If
it's so bad. It's so bad. Like you're just gonna be. You got gum. You fucking ordered meat. You ordered gum. Anyway, but that's not what law-abiding citizen ordered. He ordered a porterhouse steak
Porterhouse.
specifically for porter.
We don't know how he ordered it, to be fair.
What do you mean? He did say it. He said medium,
Really?
medium rare,
Hold
maybe a
on.
little charred. He
hold
says
on.
that in the fucking movie.
Let me. I'm pulling the subtitles up. Taught your daughter good versus evil.
He got him in my bed and he gives him the confession because nuts off. And that's where he talks about the package.
Medium, but maybe a little charred. All the
Mhm.
trimmings, pommes frites, asparagus, buttersquash. He didn't get his buttersquash.
He gets butterscotch or his pommes frites?
Pommes frites.
Or any vitamins.
Oh, they give him his iPod too.
They could have given him his iPod, yeah.
Like, I would love
So,
to
yeah,
specifically
he's
a
a-
little fuck you if he was like, no, it's my iPod.
I also think when the waiter hands him it, I think he said.
You'll cut out what?
I think when the waiter hands it to him, he actually does call it medium rare.
Oh, I also loved in that scene where they're putting like the sides on the plate and Jamie Foxx essentially just tosses it onto the fucking table. Because they move from like these exquisite dishes and then they just put it on a paper plate and it's like, here you fucking go.
Can I get utensils? You get a
Get a
spork.
spork, which
Fucking warden says it with like venom in his fucking. Get a spork.
So this
Jackass.
is I've seen this movie before this watching, and I remembered him killing the cellmate, but I couldn't remember how. And then when I saw him hand over the spork, I'm sitting here going, did he really kill him with the spork? Because I completely forgot about the bone.
Yeah. Where they get that shot of him like putting the bone up. It's like, oh no.
Mhm.
He's
My
going
issue was
pro
a whole
bono.
different thing. I was just like, does the warden just go everywhere with a spork in his inner pocket?
no, that was his spork. That's just the warden's spork for when
But
he
still,
eats
you
his
get
meal.
Like he was
Yeah, it's a-
planning to use that for lunch, and now he's fucked. He has
Yeah.
to is like his little tub of microwave pasta with his hands.
Bloody.
Hey, we all had to eat forkless spaghetti every now and then. We one more ain't gonna hurt.
Yeah, dude, I've literally had to eat like I brought a pasta into work before, and literally every fucking utensil was in the dishwasher from the day before. And so I literally had to like have 2 pencils and eat it like chopsticks.
Oh, that's fucking disgusting. Oh man, I'm so awful. Oh my
I'm-
god, that just hit me.
Hey,
In
I made it
the
work, man. It's like fucking call center work. It's like you just get shit done. You don't even ask questions.
Please
anymore.
tell me which ends. Please tell me you just removed the erasers from the eraser. And
There's
'cause I'm
no-
thinking of
there's
a
no
number 2.
No, there was no erasers on these. This is
Oh, okay.
budget pencils. There was nothing on the ends of these.
Okay.
Okay, so you were kind of in the clear. I was like, okay, I know you're not stupid enough to eat with the fucking like graphite side, and it's like, please tell me you removed the erasers. It's like, oh, never mind.
I mean, a bit of
Okay,
extra
side
carbon
note
in your
here.
food isn't going to do you harm.
This is why I'm
I
glad
love
I'm
how they
Filipino.
have
It's caramelized.
I love how they have him handcuffed to the bed, but the cellmate is just
The other
free
guy's
to
just
move about the cabin.
he's just free to stand there.
Well, no, he's not free to stand there. He's standing there to the back of the wall because they're dealing with him. They take the handcuffs off
Yeah,
later.
and he is under direct supervision by officers directly outside of his fucking cell. It's like he's not just kind of being left alone. But the guy who's ordering the warden and the prison staff around, that guy's fucking handcuffed. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. I'm
Like,
expecting
just in
not to
case.
fuck with you unless you're going to be honest with me.
Also, that guy, the one who's ordering in the food, he's the one who's going to be handed a sharp-ish object. So actually, when did he get uncuffed?
It's the thing is we don't see it because we just see fucking Jimmy leave.
Because he's still eating when he's
He's
uncuffed.
still, yeah, he's still eating. He's just chilling. But then we see.
I think they
could have taken
uncuffed.
like 3 or 5 minutes.
I think they uncuffed him and then closed the door because we remember when they're eating.
Well, because
and
that's
they stab
because
him.
we cut back to it, and that's when they're like in the thing. and
That's
he's uncuffed.
right. They uncuff him when the cell becomes closed.
Mhm.
So he's
Yeah.
cuffed. So the guy who's ordering the warden and everybody around like they're fucking patsies, that guy gets cuffed while the cell is open and while the warden and the
So I suppose if I don't
it's
share
not the
this with
DA,
you,
but someone who's very important to the DA is outside of his immediate cell, that guy is cuffed to the fucking bed. When they know they're going to close the cell door, he's uncuffed again, and the only person in danger is the person who was in the room with him anyways, which doesn't actually change anything from normal. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
I'm gonna cock back my right hand, split your fucking skull open. How about that? And I love
You
the
know-
way like Gerard Butler looks like he like almost like that. He's like, yeah, that makes sense.
I was gonna say you gave him the New York Strip, and gee, that was
Well, because he that was part of the plan.
Right.
He's making him comfortable because he's about to fuck him up in a second.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it is his last meal.
Mm-hmm.
What happened to the spork? I think they just forgot about it because he's not
I
even
mean,
using it
dude,
for the
like I
mac
said,
and
even,
cheese.
like,
I think they introduced it as a utensil for him to eat with because they weren't going to give him any silverware.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if they gave him silverware, he absolutely would have used the silverware for this.
Right.
Given that they didn't, he improvised and used the T-bone.
Yeah.
A less ideal but still effective weapon.
I do like how his cellmate goes like, "What are you in for?" It's a long story.
Honestly, that is actually a very realistic response. If it's like this is a thing you see in a lot of like prison media where people ask what you're in for.
Mhm.
In reality, the kind of people who belong there, who know what's up, they don't answer that question directly. Like that's not the done thing. So him giving a vague answer is actually a very nice little detail. It shows he's actually like more alert and more aware of how to operate in prison.
Mm-hmm.
And then we see him like taking the T-bone down and away.
Yeah,
Putting
out
in like
of-
a
out
fucking
of-
push knife.
Yeah, out of sight.
Which is another thing. It's like a prisoner can improvise a shiv out of fucking anything.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, T-bones can be very sharp if you fucking cut or eat around the fucking meat. And
Or
if they're going
Well, to
and if
be
they're
fair,
just cavemen and that shit.
I was gonna say anything can be a weapon within a force. That's the ideal part.
Yeah, dude, the most valuable resource in a maximum security prison is the razors they give you to shave with. If you can take the razor out of the shaving apparatus and hide it in the glue of the seam of a book, you now actually have something that's very sought after and very useful in a prison.
Also, not to mention just your toothbrush, because that the handle can be sharpened pretty intensely.
Yeah, it can be sharpened, but you can't actually show that it's been sharpened. You want something that nobody's going to notice is missing, but that you can have on your person.
I also like
Probably
how
in your prison pocket, in your toothbrush case.
after all this, he's like, I think I need a shower because he's just drenched in fucking
Just
blood.
covered in blood, yeah. Looking in a shower, Warden.
Thing that I would have liked to have seen that they didn't is Jamie Foxx's character, Nick, going at the warden over the whole thing.
Yeah,
Because
I
let's face
feel
it, like had he not been a dick when they were scanning everything through, they would have been on time, and that dude would have still been alive.
yeah, the
Yeah,
warden's
that's-
like
They
rem-
would have been on
I'm-
time, and in a sense, that is the warden's fault for dicking them around. But at the same time, Jamie Foxx is on that warden's turf. And remember the whole system that Shelton is rebelling against? The fact that the warden is in charge and the people actually administrating justice have absolutely no power within the prison, that's kind of a big part of the whole system he's rebelling against. Because that is also just a part of reality. Once a person is incarcerated and in prison, the only person who gets last say on anything that happens with them is the warden. The only thing anybody outside a prison can do is make a request. And the warden will usually acquiesce to most reasonable requests,
But what
but
I think what
you still need him to sign off on them.
yeah, but what I
And
think
if you
with
shit
Stacey,
talk the warden, it will make your life hell.
yeah, and I feel like what Stacey's talking about, and something that I noticed too, is that like nothing gets said or done with the warden after this scene, even though the warden is partially responsible for them being late.
Well, he's responsible in the way that we, the audience, and also Shelton, understand him to be responsible, but he's not responsible in the way that Nick understands him to be responsible. In
Fair
that,
enough.
like, by the strict letter of the law, according to the systems in place as they are, the warden is only performing his duty to secure everything that comes into the prison. So even if he's a dick about it, he's still only doing his job.
Mm-hmm.
But
It's
Nick
kind of like a
does-
malicious compliance kind of thing.
Yeah, but Nick does comment he said, 1 o'clock, we've got 5 minutes, let's go. And the
It's 5 to
warden then
1.
turns around and specifically says, run it again to purposely make it late.
Mhm.
So it's one of those, it would have been nice to see that little bit of pushback from Nick to the warden of this is partially your fault because of that.
It
Yeah.
would have been, and we can see that Nick thinks that. But in regards to like directly confronting here's the thing: at the end of the movie, after Nick has gone through his whole arc, he is absolutely the guy who would have confronted the warden right then and there about this. But where Nick was in his arc at that moment, he wasn't there yet. He was still just a little bit too much a part of the system.
I'd be curious if there's a deleted scene between Nick and the warden. But
I'm not sure there would be. Everything
that
about the
is-
writing in all of this movie seems a little bit too deliberate for that to have been cut.
Maybe.
Movies do film a lot of things, regardless if it makes it in or not. I'm trying to think of what was next after all. They're trying to explain. Oh yeah, Nick tries to appeal to Shelton's morality for a second, but it's like, how would your wife and kid feel about you doing all this? And we have a good moment of just Gerard Butler's face. Just we're seeing him just work through the situation in his head, and then goes, "My wife and kid can't feel anything; they're dead."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's really
good.
Like
for a second there, you see him thinking about it. It's like just being handed back the bracelet. It's like his original motivation for all of this, and then when he snaps back into the room and confronting like the present, is like, yeah, no, they don't feel anything about anything because somebody fucking took them from me on a whim, and you need to deal with them. Mm-hmm. That's why we're fucking here.
The bracelet's also really significant too, because if you remember, there's a little line. Because remember, to show his complete compliance with the police, he gets butt naked when they arrest him. But the only thing he's wearing is the bracelet. And there's another line later where it's like, has he been helpful, or has he been cooperative? And it's like, he gave us a little bit of a fuss when we took his bracelet away, but other than that, he's been pretty cool.
Yeah, it was the only thing he kicked up a fuss about, whereas everything else he was cooperative because it helps his case.
Right.
Well, and if you remember correctly, she made him that bracelet the day she was killed.
Mm-hmm.
It is the last thing he has from his daughter.
It's 2 in 1 day. This shit really gets me.
Oh, they go to meet Secret Agent Man there. That's just, I digged up some ancient strings to pull.
Well, yeah, ancient strings to pull is another very strategic vagueness. Because like this guy's been the district attorney for at least 10 years as far as we know. Probably considerably more than that, but we haven't seen it. So this guy, if he's worked any gang case, any drug cartel related case, there's fair to good odds he's had a run-in with some kind of CIA contact. Because the CIA is all up in that business because it's international crime that affects the fucking presidents of the United States. That's literally what the CIA is for.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that he would have old strings like this to pull up, yeah, that tracks. The fact that someone would meet them in an inconspicuous place within the city where like 3 guys could just stand around talking about some random bullshit and it's not suspicious, it also tracks. Well, the fact that the guy is telling us that this guy, Shelton, is more dangerous than we could have imagined, but is really vague about how and why exactly, is super strategic in a meta sense, going back to what I was saying earlier, but it also kind of tracks here because no one in the information world, no one of any kind of intelligence agency, is going to get into specifics. The fact that this guy gave an actual example of a case this guy was brought in on is already more than would realistically be hoped for.
Shout outs to Doug Stanhope for being the spy. And
Yeah.
little fun fact about the set too is they're in a fucking tunnel, so no cell phone service.
Oh yeah.
It's a little like there's like little details like fucking these guys gave more than two shits about.
Mhm.
And hey, look,
And
they made a
even then,
fucking-
it's like the guy stops talking properly. Is just like a random dude is walking past,
yeah.
and it's like the guy who's walking past obviously is like, hold on, those three guys are acting a little bit weird. He kind of like he looks at them, but he's like he just kind of carries on because like fuck it. I mean, that guy probably has his own job to go to, or he's going
Yeah,
home after
late
work.
for
It's like,
work.
he doesn't really
not-
give a shit. He just noticed that these three guys are acting weird, but that's
it's not a-
fine.
Let's say, but that's none of my business, and he keeps moving.
Yeah, exactly, and that's why that exact kind of location kind of works for that. The first season of House of Cards actually did a lot of shit in that similar vein.
Mhm.
That was pretty good.
And like I said, that's Doug from House of Cards.
Yeah,
Oh.
like the
That's what I said.
first few seasons of House of Cards are actually really good TV. I think it's season 4 is around when the allegations came out against your man,
Mhm.
and that's when the entire show tried to ditch him.
Yeah,
But he was also the star of the show, so it kind of tanked the show.
a little bit.
Unfortunate.
So we go on to the scene with the judge where they're basically trying to like, all right, we need to violate his rights some more. We're taking away his exercise period so we can keep him under even more surveillance.
Well, they want the whole point is like this guy's actually lock him down more than he's already locked down.
Yeah. And she's like, fuck it, I'll play. And as we're seeing, she her cell phone goes off and Jamie Foxx is like,
All
"Hey,
that
you've given it-"
drama you gave me about my cell phone, you're gonna take it here? She was like, well, that's the beauty of being a judge. I can do whatever I want. And almost
then-
this like instant karma of what she just fucking said too, which is amazing.
And it was like
Hello?
it was so fucking it was so
And then
fucking
bam!
loud that like I was just like, God damn it, my fucking hearing.
How do you think she felt?
I don't
yeah, her hearing's shit now.
Yeah.
I don't
can't
think she
hear
felt
anything.
anything. She's dead. And she took it up the fucking ass too.
Took it up the
Bitch.
fucking ass.
Bitch.
See you later, Nick.
And
I think by this
I love
point,
this after like he's like I'm a thing. He like locks and chains and shit. Like he's a animal too. It's a nice little detail they don't really bring
yeah, this
up.
is something I noticed. Like when we first get to the prison, this whole place looks like Kilmainham, which is not a functional prison anymore. It's where the Irish rebels were locked up and executed during the rebellion.
oh dear.
Like Jesus Christ, this is some shit from like pre-World War One.
Yeah.
Like it's all fucking like concrete blocks. The paint is
Just look at his
peeling
eyes.
off.
Sorry, just look at
Probably
his,
all lead based.
his eyes right there. Like when he's like, don't even think about touching my. Dude, fucking great actor. I love that fucking man. You even think about touching my family.
Yeah, Jamie Foxx is a good actor. Too bad he
He's a
fell
good
into
actor.
that tank of electric eels.
Don't you know? I'm Electro.
Without light, without hope, without Spider-Man. So I think by this point all the deals are pretty much done because there was the bed.
No, he
and
gives
the
him
safe.
one final deal. Release
Oh,
me,
yeah.
or I kill everyone. And it's really interesting how it's handled too. Like everyone is actually fucking horrified. like there's a moment where they're all in the thing, and it's just like they're all holding their breath as if something magically murder them right here.
Oh yeah.
Like
Also,
as soon as 6 o'clock hits.
Well, they
before
recognize that he's followed through with every threat he has made so far.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they are understandably intimidated.
Yeah, and it's like, and I love how Jamie tries to go. He's like, "Our man is not God. He is almighty. can't kill us instantly. Like it's like it's an attempt to try to like fucking okay guys, we need to calm down because I think even Jamie was scared in that scene too.
I think that's why
Well, yeah,
I
he
like.
was one of the people who was watching the clock and then breathed a sigh of relief when it hit 6. And then he went back to being the team leader.
Yeah.
And then we have this scene where Sarah is specifically like, "Hey, don't you think you were like you could change what you did?" And he's just like, "No." He tries to so matter of
he's
factly.
kind of like toting the line of his predecessor, which is like, in this job, you make some tough decisions. Because you're human, you're not going to make the right decision every time. The important thing is to just carry on. If you make a mistake, learn from it, try to do better next time. But the fact is, if you make a wrong decision, you just have to stick to the decision you made and focus on the decisions to make in the future. And she's like, I just want to feel like I'm working for something better than a high conviction rate. And that kind of hits at him because on some level, he knows that going after that conviction rate is part of the reason we're all in this situation in the first place.
Yeah, which I think goes to the whole ego thing that Stacy was talking about.
Yeah. It's like, I mean, the man absolutely does have an ego. But then you kind of would need to in order to pursue this kind of career.
Yeah, and this is the moment, and I know you can't see it very well because of the filter, for obvious reasons. Yeah, this is the scene where everybody's just staring at the clock, and everybody's... Well, you've got this one guy that's just moving on. I think he's just part of the prison staff. It's like, what the fuck is going on? Why are all these people just standing around?
Yeah, whereas all these employees
And
from the
everybody
Justice
looks-
Department, they're all fucking...
And they're all stressed. They look like they're about to shit their pants, almost kind of deal. They're like, oh my god.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and can we take a moment and recognize the fact that Nick calling them all into the prison to do this work made it so much easier for Clyde to kill them all?
Yeah. If they had all just stayed at City Hall or wherever they were, then this wouldn't have happened.
Oh, it still would have happened.
Mention it. Why
just wouldn't
are they
have been quite as
because surely
easy.
all the files and case stuff they would need, considering this is actually an old case that they worked on from their department, wouldn't they be able to work out of their own offices?
They should be able to, now that you mention it.
Yeah, I thought it was really weird as well. They're like, we're moving in. And it's like, what? He can't go. You can move wherever
Yeah,
the
so
fuck
we're
you want.
moving in as if the prison holds all of the court files that...
I mean, like,
Criminals
there is another thing. Die. But he could
Yeah,
have
but-
foreseen
For a
this
second.
shit happening. Well, I was saying, there
I
is a
think
thing
it
where he
was-
wanted the people together because he doesn't want them to die.
Yes, and he figured that being within the prison walls would be the
Yeah.
safest place for them.
Literally, inside the prison walls should have been the safest place. Yeah, well, he
And they
technically
were.
was. He technically was right, but
When they were in the prison wall.
yeah. Boom.
And they
This
were
was
like,
also
how...
pretty loud. This is also pretty loud too. So.
Yeah, it was loud as shit. I think they said they were swept clean everything except the gas tank, which is actually where he put the bombs. And it's like, oh, clever chicken.
And this ties back to the comment of he was not ready to kill Nick yet because he planted them in every car except for Nick's.
Yeah.
But killing these people was for Nick. The whole point of doing this was to make this whole situation personal to him.
Mm-hmm.
Same reason he killed that other guy at the funeral. He killed his mentor right in front of him in order to push him over the edge so that he would arrive at the point where he says, fuck civil rights, this guy's guilty. It's like, what his civil rights are has nothing to do with what justice is. It's like, getting Nick to that exact point was the purpose behind killing these people.
Mm-hmm. And you could
I think-
see that
I think he was
moment.
He was there before that because he starts fucking beating Gerard Butler outside the jail. That's
He
super
was
illegal.
kind of there. It's like, he was almost there. And this is why Shelton was like, I have hope in you. It's like, I believe in you, so I'm going to give you this deadline. I'm going to tell you now. It's like, if you, it's like, everything's going to be fine. But I think it's like, and this is something I wanted to touch on as well. It's like, if Nick had actually made that deal, these people were still going to die. Because
Yeah,
the point
definitely.
wasn't to get out of prison. The point was to make Nick see that you cannot make deals with murderers and purport yourself an advocate of justice.
Maybe.
You can't do both. That's Nick's, or that's Shelton's entire fucking thing. So-
See, I'm not so convinced that had they made the deal with him, that he still would have killed them, because you see the remorse on his face. You see when he recognizes 6 o'clock has come and gone, and as he's setting those bombs off, like you see it in him. There's a major difference in the way he reacts to their deaths versus the judge and Darby and Amos and all the other ones that were involved in his case.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's remorse in that these people are, as far as he's concerned, and regarding his personal case, they are innocent. So
Sorry, I
there's
just-
remorse in that regard, but going back to what I said about like the whole point of this is to push Nick. It's to make Nick see the world from his perspective. I think that they absolutely still would have died, and he considers it like a necessary evil. It's regretful, he feels shitty about it, but it's something he feels that he needed to do in order to get Nick to become the man he wanted to make him, which is the guy who says, fuck his civil rights, he's guilty. And
Can I
the
just
only
take
way
a
he's getting
moment?
there is if the people close to him start dying.
Very true. Can I just take a moment and comment that anytime the woman that plays the mayor is in power, she's a complete bitch.
Mhm.
Like
I was
every
actually,
movie I've seen in that she is in power, she plays an incredible bitch.
I was actually about to comment when it was going to be brought up. I was like, "Oh, hi, Viola Davis."
Yeah, I was gonna say Viola Davis playing the same
Yeah.
character, really.
She's basically just a smaller power Amanda Waller.
I was gonna say she just typecast as bitchy black lady.
I think she might be, and it's a little bit unfair, to be honest, because
She's pretty good though.
okay, if you take that out of it, if you take like the acting bitchy away, she's someone who's like, she's dealing with the press. People are freaking the fuck out, and the people whose job it is to get this situation under control have failed. She is very understandably pissed off. That said, she's not exactly channeling that pissed off energy in the most productive manner.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I was also I was gonna point out she's not always just Amanda Waller. She's the mom from Fences,
I never watched Fences, so
the lawyer from How to Get Away with Murder.
She was in The
I don't
Help.
remember that.
too.
I never
Yeah,
watched
she's
The
in
Help.
The Help. I love The Help. It's a good movie.
Never watched The Help, so
Oh, it's good.
It's a really
I've
great
heard.
movie.
I might get around to it. Like I'm like behind on like the movies I want to watch. Like I just watched Whiplash like 3 days ago. So anyway, where were we?
Sent the family away. So at the very
Yeah,
least,
he's trying to like lock it. He's trying to fucking get some semblance of like control back from a guy who's in fucking jail. Let's get this guy Nick. I love that guy's voice, by the way. I don't know who that guy is.
Oh, and this is the scene I was talking about. So when they have Gerard Butler like walk out of the prison for a second to have a quick little chat, and Jamie Foxx then just beats the
Starts
shit out of
bashing
him.
his fucking head in. Because remember, he really did love fucking Sarah. He was really cared about her, and of course everybody else in the office. He killed everybody there.
Yeah,
so
but
he's
he
just
didn't
fucking.
seem
He's
to have as much of a reaction about everybody else, exploding. It was Sarah
yeah,
that
it was
his
Sarah.
main focus was on.
Because well, Sarah's the only time we get real time with, and like I said, she was his like direct like apprentice.
And
Like everything that she was doing was because of him. You know what I mean? Like he was imparting everything he knew about to her. So he literally fucking killed his Anakin.
I do like how
And like,
this is the
I love that he takes it. Like he's like, yeah, it's okay, let it out. Like he like sits there and gets down, and he's not even mad about it.
Yeah, and the thing I was gonna bring up was this is then the final culmination between their characters about how even if they had lost, Gerard Butler's character, I can't believe I keep forgetting his fucking name.
Clyde.
Clyde, thank you.
Shelton.
Clyde
Clyde
Shelton.
Clyde.
How Shelton would have been
Shut up.
he said he basically said he wouldn't have bothered. He wouldn't have he would have been okay if they had lost because he could have held his head up high and say that he at least tried.
and
it was
like,
the-
and
Yeah,
it's
that's
just-
kind of his thing. And I mentioned it earlier, but I like that speech. It's like, it's not about the fact that we might have lost. It's the fact you didn't even fucking try. And Shelton's whole thing is that he's not really looking at the individual. He's looking at Nick as sort of a representative of like the system. But the thing he's actually angry at is the system itself. That's his real enemy here.
Yeah.
So
and-
it's like he's using Nick as sort of a stand-in, but really and truly, it's not about like the personal decision as far as Shelton is concerned. His scope is much wider than that.
Yeah, and when you bring it back to like the very first scene where they're talking about the deal, they're talking about it, but then Jamie Foxx then goes, "The deal was already made, like
Mhm.
it's done, it's over."
yeah, like when he
Yeah.
walked in, it was just a courtesy of him telling him, like it was already set in stone. And it's like, yeah, I'm just getting warmed up.
I kind of do like the red herring of this scene where we see the hands behind the controls. You're like, oh, there is an accomplice.
There is somebody fucking with it, and it's like, oh, that was the point, silly bagoose.
Yeah,
Bagoose? Whatever. So yeah, this was the one potential issue I could have seen thing, but like I feel like it could be fucking like we have technology that has facial recognition nowadays, and the military technology is before like way above us, and he's got direct ties with military contracts. Though this would be a less subtle way because like it's implied that he does everything like really subtly, but it's like, oh no, just gat these fools down.
super minor nitpick. I think that's a mod deuce, and its cyclic rate is way higher than it should be. But it's like I said, that's a super nitpick.
Yeah, I don't even know half what you just said. So
Cyclic rate is the rate at which the bolt moves forward and backwards to retrieve a new round. The Browning 50 cal machine gun, which is the one we use for most Humvees besides a minigun, is the Modus. And that's we invented those in World War II. It's a very fuck off powerful gun. Oh yeah, I like how Nick is like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah, because it's like, what the fuck is that? Is that a gun walking? Oh fuck!
Then it's also got a SMAW attached to it too.
Yeah, it's got fucking goddamn fucking recoil, fucking rocket launcher.
Mm-hmm. He just stares like, Nick, get out! Not Nick. Other
What's his
DA
name? Pull the
man.
fucking, I know. Pull the fucking subtitles. Like
Hold on, I'll pull them up for a second. Jonas.
Jonas. Okay. Poor Jonas. He didn't deserve this. He's like, oh boy, I'm not having a good day here. I seem to be mildly inconvenient.
And then he's just a charred remains.
Just literally medium charred, a little bit on the side.
He got
I'm
flame
sorry.
broiled.
I remember this scene actually bothering me, but it's like, oh.
Yeah, you're like, oh, this scene bothers. Now you're just making fucking jokes.
I hate it so much. I'm crying, but good shit.
Then Nick basically, through an emergency thing via the mayor, becomes the new DA. And in the
I
first,
always thought, and for, like the way it's shot, I thought this was like part of fucking what's his face's plan.
Oh, that he was
To
like,
get
I'm gonna
Nick
put you
to
in charge so you can be the new head of the change, essentially.
Mm-hmm. It could be a little bit of wishful reading into it.
I kind of got the same feeling as well, which is why the ending kind of, I don't know if it bothers me, but I was like, I wouldn't have taken that direction.
What do you mean?
With seeing the recital, I would have seen like a newspaper like, oh, the laws he's changed so we don't create more of him.
Well, I mean, that
Essentially.
is him changing, though, because remember, he never made time for it. That is him being that is him in a different position than he was at the beginning of the movie.
Yes, that is
Yeah,
fair.
it's sort of like tangential, and it goes into what I was saying earlier about how everything outside of the dynamic between Nick and Shelton isn't really explored all that much. But it does show that, like, by the end of the movie, Shelton is now the kind of guy who focuses on what's right more than what's proper. And that's kind of the general outline of his arc for the whole movie.
Right.
And yeah, so he gets sworn in, and they're like, "What the fuck's going on?" And I like the setup of like the entire time they've been talking about Chester, Sarah's boyfriend, and it being implied that Chester was helping Sarah with like trying to track down like where his buildings were or whatever.
Okay, just
And
because it's happened on screen and it pertains to something we said earlier, I will say in the crime scene photos, Kid is fully dressed. So just
Okay,
as far
fair.
as implication goes, Kid
Fair
was
enough.
killed. We don't need to fill in a blank that goes beyond that. There's
Fair
no need.
enough.
That's
Yeah, 'cause it's
dark
already-
enough already.
Because
Fair
what's
enough.
worse than a killer?
A child.
A child.
No.
No. Boom. Child. No. I love how the speed of that, like bam, bam, bam. A child. No.
It's good shit. It's like one of my favorite jokes of like all time.
He
It's
used
like
to
when
do
you
good
distilled
comedy.
the entire Vine period down to a 10-minute compilation, there was some gold in there.
There's some
You
gold in
just had to sift real fucking hard. And
Well-
when TikTok dies, we're gonna have the exact same rose-tinted glasses.
Exactly. There's gonna
Yeah.
be some shit that's kind of funny. The Tracer thing needs to just forever be buried, though.
Or the
Tracer
okay
thing.
boomer dance.
I'm already Tracer.
Oh, okay, that thing. So the Chester thing, then he finds all the properties, and then he goes, "Oh, motherfucker!"
Well, this is another strategic vagueness. We don't actually know what it is he cracked. We just get this sort of like pseudo montage of him lining up the thing he set up earlier. This is a payoff to what he was saying to the woman, where if we just pull the purchases from the Panama account and compare those to his property listings here in the States, we can isolate what he does and doesn't own. Like that was set up earlier, and this is the payoff where he's going through them himself, comparing records, and eventually we just get that shot of him saying, "Motherfucker," and that's it. It's like we know he's arrived at some conclusion, and now we're here.
He goes, "Motherfucker,"
And that's all we
circles
need.
the thing,
It's
then
very
cut.
good strategic vagueness. They don't go into details we can name them on, but everything that's implied lines up.
Mm-hmm. I guess I do kind of like it. Kind of hurts that I can't really disagree with it, but yeah, like when he says
I
"fuck
don't
his
know
civil
why
rights."
it would hurt, because it is a compliment. In order to make a story, a fictional series of events work, you are going to need to be vague, especially when the sequence of
No,
events
I'm talking about.
is something that's
no, not
extreme,
that.
like in this movie.
Yeah, no, not that. I'm talking about "fuck his civil rights."
Oh.
Because like
I
I'm like
think me and Tom were both just a little bit caught up in the moment, so we did it a little bit too hard, but it is unironically a very good, isolated moment as to when he's reached, like, the
His breaking
climax
point.
of his arc. It's like, yeah, this is when he's gone past the point of no return as a character.
I wouldn't say
He is fundamentally a different person than he started right now.
fair enough. I like this.
But
I
yeah,
like
me
this.
and Tom just like joking, like, yeah, fuck civil rights. Civil rights are gay. It's like, yeah, no. It's like, yeah, that's a joke and all, but like, the point of the scene remains. When he becomes the kind of person who prioritizes his real life guilt over what the letter of the law is, he has already started to buy into Shelton's ideology.
Mm-hmm.
And then now everything past this is just getting into how Shelton pulled it all off, which is, again,
How do you feel about it?
strategic vagueness to make it work. But I think within the context of the movie, it works. What we know about him, what we know about his skill set, and what we know about what he had at his disposal makes this reasonably feasible.
I'm a tiny bit doubtful, but that's because it's the weirdo. Like, how much of a paper trail would building all of this leave?
Well, we see it, don't
Not
we?
much considering it's his property.
Yeah, as I say, we see the paper trail actually.
Yeah. In fact, the paper trail is exactly how I found it in the first place.
Right.
So literally all you're talking about is like him using his own engineering know-how to make the tunnel. His contacts get him like the fucking plastic explosives and the guns and everything. And then his own engineering know-how to rig them together into the tools he needs them to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I guess I was overthinking it.
Maybe.
Yeah, I will say is like the whole he dug into every single solitary confinement cell just in case. It covers one base and kind of raises an eyebrow at another, but ultimately, when you put it all together, it does still work within a 10-year window.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the fact that he
I
would
mean-
never have been able to dig into one cell while another cell was occupied, or that somebody would have heard something.
And also, how was he doing any of this quietly?
He wasn't, and that's kind of my point.
Yeah.
You're not going through a brick wall quietly. That's just not a thing.
Unless you do it really, really slowly, but 10 years might be a little. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
with
if you
with
if
a
you
spoon.
I was gonna say, if you only did that for 10 years, maybe that would literally not be enough time to do anything else.
If this was the only thing he achieved in 10 years, yeah, but it's
Maybe.
not.
I was
Yeah,
I was
He
about to make
also
a
became incredibly knowledgeable about the law, about chemistry. He
Mhm.
hacked into like the people who distribute the chemicals they use for the lethal injections.
Here's
He
one thing. Here's the one
set
thing
up an
I'm-
entire warehouse and a network of property ownership that he then sold off to a conglomerate so it wouldn't be traced back to him. It's like he was doing a lot in those 10 years. And I believe that given what we know about this guy, this is the kind of guy who would have been doing a lot
Well,
in those
this-
10 years.
It's this part right here that I think I have the biggest problem with. So not the fact that people aren't recognizing him as Clyde Shelton, but the fact that people are recognizing him as the dude. You know what I mean? So that
I
means
thought
he's
that
been
was-
doing this. Because like he's talking to this guy. This guy's like, "Yo, what's up, Larry or whatever, or Frank?" I think he calls him Frank. But he's been working as Frank. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
Yeah, that's another question. It's like, is he just coming in as like he's wearing the uniform of the agency that, or the agency or the business or whatever the fuck company does the cleaning in City Hall?
well, they
So
refer
he
to
turns
him
up, he's
as-
wearing the uniform, and they're just like, "Hey, ID. Let's just confirm you are who you say you are, that you are actually a cleaner, and that you don't have anything dangerous on your person or in your cart, and then you can just go about your job."
I think because
Because if they do have a company that comes in and cleans City Hall, the staffing of that company isn't something that the security team at City Hall is going to know about.
yeah, and as
Like,
I
you know, if one guy gets fired from the cleaning company and they hire a new guy, that new guy's going to turn up at City Hall. Maybe it could be on a day like this where security is unusually high. They ask for his ID, they put him through the scanner, they're looking through his cart. It's like, yeah, they're going to do all of the checks, but ultimately they're not really going to question that the cleaning company hired a new person, are they?
Yeah, and he
Mm.
literally refers to him as Nomos, which is the company that's on him. Like I think he refers to him more by the company than he does the
His first
person.
name. Okay.
let's see if because he might actually refer to the security guard on a first name basis, and if that was the case, then oh no, he's just asking if something went on. And he doesn't even.
The
Okay.
security guard refers to him by his company,
His
and
company.
then he's asked to turn around, spread his arms. He's checked, and then he actually goes to the security guys. And he's like, "Hey, is something going on tonight?" And one of the security guys is like, "Yeah, it's like there's some fucking
Yeah, the
VIPs
mayor.
in."
Yeah,
The
fucking mayor's
mayor.
here. I didn't vote for her.
It's like, yeah, it's like, well, I mean, you joke, but that's literally the kind of small talk he makes.
Yeah, exactly.
And it just goes back into what we've seen for the rest of the movie, where Jared Butler plays a guy who's like very good at being disarmingly charming.
Mm-hmm.
He passes them charisma checks.
Yes, he
Mhm.
does. Beautiful bastard. Okay, so it's not as dramatic as I thought. I thought they called him by first.
So yeah, he snuck in a bunch of fucking essentially napalm canisters into City Hall like before any of that, because he pulls it from like some electrical, either electrical wiring or I'm trying to.
That's not electrical. It looks almost like plumbing.
Yeah, it looks like plumbing, but the thing is, he's been planning this for 10 years,
Yeah.
and this is his ultimate goal: is the fucking City Hall, because that's the temple.
Yeah,
he
this is
prefers.
like the ultimate terrorist attack, where like the actual system itself gets burned to the ground.
And the thing is, like, the setup, it's like this massive fucking, like, everybody's afraid of fucking Clyde Shelton, so he's just gonna fucking put the cherry on top. So yeah, this would have been the final bout, if he didn't get stopped.
Right.
Fucking Darth Bandon. Got boss guy, we looking for it. You looking at him?
Let's see. So, and the bomb itself is essentially like napalm times 10.
Mm-hmm.
One of the detective characters we've been seeing throughout the whole movie, turns out he's got bomb squad knowledge.
Training.
So he starts to.
Now, I did take a little bit of issue with the fact that the guy identifies from the cart on the 5th floor that this is probably where Shelton has been, and that this is an active bomb threat, and not to warn people because it will raise a panic.
Well, no. It's not to raise a panic. It's gonna alert Shelton.
Yeah,
It's
who
going to
just set
alert
it off
Shelton,
anyway.
but surely even if Shelton gets alerted, he's going to be alerted because his plan to blow up the fucking mayor was thwarted. Like, even if you put him on the offensive and you aggravate Shelton into being more aggressive, you still will have subverted his attempt on the lives of multiple security officials.
And I kind
Maybe.
of know, I'm under the impression that if he's looking at it via camera for a good chunk, so what's to say he sees them all moving and then sets it off anyway? Because he had 30 seconds. There's no way you're gonna get clear from the building in 30 seconds.
Yeah. Maybe.
Clear
Like I
from
said.
the building? No.
It
But
said
if he
the
just
floor and the floor
if he
above.
skips if he doesn't like fucking run to a fire alarm and punch it, if he just quietly calls the mayor and tells her to get everyone a couple floors down and then alert security, so even if it does go off, both that floor and the floor above it will be in fucking ruins, but people might not have died. Shelton is alerted, but his alert is because his plan was thwarted. That still seems like a more obvious path than what was taken. And I think that's my issue. It's not really about, oh, these characters didn't take the absolute optimal route that I in the audience could have seen. That's not the thing. It's more, it seems like there was a more obvious route than what was taken
I'll be
in
right
that
back.
specific case.
Okay.
And yeah, now we just cut to like everyone is arriving in that room, which means now Jamie Foxx, as of like this exact present moment, is in the room with the bomb, knowing that directly above them is a lot of VIPs who are currently at risk. Even if he ends up losing his job because he's wrong and it's not even a fucking bomb in the first place, surely that would still be worth just calling the mayor. Or even running upstairs in person, bursting in the office and saying, everybody needs to get at least 2 floors down fucking immediately. At least until we clear a bomb threat. Because then even if Shelton does get aggravated and sets the bomb off anyways, even if not everyone gets off that floor, he still would have saved most of them.
Mm-hmm.
But then we kind of... This is another use of the strategic vagueness where we see them identify it as a bomb, we see them identify the plan, and we kind of get very lost with how much time begins to have passed until Shelton gets back to his cell and Jamie Foxx and the bomb are already there.
Yeah, I had kind of an issue with the sudden movement of the bomb, because Shelton already had a head start. How the hell did...
Shelton did, but he also had to fucking reroute, and he has to go. And with I don't know, maybe because the DA, he wasn't seen as the DA when he was in that fucking security thing. So there was a blockade throughout the whole fucking city. So maybe he can get through because he's a cop, but I don't know. I feel like there's a little bit more than not at all, but I do agree that it is a bit weird.
Yeah, like, how the hell did you beat me? It's almost
Like... it feels
he does pull over into a parking garage, like, to avoid, like, the blockade or whatever, which that could be a problem as well, because he pulls over to a parking garage to avoid a blockade. How does that work?
Yeah, that makes no sense.
He goes on the opposite side of the parking garage and he's out. Alright, I guess. Shelton, I can get you those palm freaks. And he's like, well, it's too late for that, Jamie Foxx.
I mean, Nick.
It's too late for that, Electro. We've gone beyond chips now.
I'll be right back.
He starts playing Itsy Bitsy Spider.
Oh no. The dubstep Itsy Bitsy Spider. That's what was really in the briefcase.
Yeah, that's what... Oh, God.
He lied.
Imagine, like, they go in, they do all that, they open it up, and it's just fucking TASM 2.
He hates me.
Electricity, virginity.
Oh no.
I hate the fact I know the lyrics to that fucking song.
It's a classic.
I mean, it's better than his origin in this movie where he fell into a vat of electric lawyers.
Vat of electric lawyers.
Did it straighten the gap in his teeth too? Like a document to file for his teeth to come together?
No, it actually.
No, yeah, it was just filled in with his very tiny law degree.
Yeah, no, it actually morphed him a business suit, like a brand new one.
Yeah, that's actually his skin. He's got a condition.
Yeah, that's not clothing.
He's actually naked right now.
Yeah, these aren't. These quote unquote street clothes. Yeah, they're not real.
Don't you know? I'm a lawyer man now.
Don't you know? I'm lawyer.
That perplexed look on Jamie Foxx was just us just doing this weird tangent.
Don't you know I'm the DA?
Technically the acting DA, but you know, swing that dick where you can.
How do we feel about the him going like, well, nice knowing you, closes door, closes other door, fucking runs?
No, yeah, that is actually like the full culmination of his arc as a character. He is now the Shelton mindset, where, fuck you, this is justice. It no longer matters what the actual law says. Yeah. It's like, legally, this is illegal as absolute fuck.
Okay.
I just don't care anymore.
I'm fine with, like, all that, like for the character arc stuff, but, like, how does everyone, I mean, I guess I'll wait for Max to come back, but how do we all feel logistically about Shelton losing here?
Like I said, I don't know how I feel.
It felt a little cheap and quick.
Yeah,
it did to me. Like, it really felt like I don't think Shelton, who's been built up as the guy, you don't win. If he wants you dead, you're dead. And
Oh yeah,
The-
no, I don't
the-
think that
the-
was
the,
really
like-
even the goal. I think
Yeah,
it was
like the
more
big-
just shaking him out of that like letter of the law mindset
Yeah, I know, yeah.
and focusing him more of like right and wrong mindset.
Oh yeah,
Well,
no,
no,
I
I
agree. I agree with that. I liked that. Like, as in terms of like character arc, like ending for him and like how Nick evolves. But like,
But the
logistically-
writers kind of wrote themselves into a corner with like they built him up so much that
Yeah.
then they couldn't justify Jamie Foxx outsmarting him.
like the ultimate like twist, like trick that Nick pulled to like trick him was like, oh, I've just put the bomb in your cell.
Yeah, that's kind of why I said they got that bomb and Jamie Foxx there via teleportation powers, essentially.
Yeah.
Because I just kind of don't believe it. I don't believe that they could have beaten.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't buy
I've
it.
kind of been talking about strategic vagueness throughout most of
Yeah.
this review.
It's the key
This
word
is
here.
when it's been stretched to its absolute thinnest. Is
Mhm.
the way Jamie Foxx just gets back to the cell with the bomb ahead of the guy who already had a head start, and
Yeah.
that's the checkmate move. And none of the details are filled in as to how or why that happened.
Yeah.
But again,
Yeah.
so
That's
again, it's
why-
like where you said like the character arcs are like as well fleshed out as they are clashing with the
We have
like
to
I
end
said,
the
the
story.
logistics of it,
Yeah.
of the scenario.
Yeah, that's why it felt like the writer for a split second was showing his hand of we need to just end the story now. Like we've only got like 10 minutes left.
Yeah,
I do like the shot though. The shot's really cool.
Oh,
Yeah,
the fire spreading? That
With
was
the
a really
fire
good shot.
spreading, yeah.
Yeah, it was nice. It was cool. Holding the bracelet, just like
Yeah.
it's nice.
And as now we get to like the
Yeah.
chronological end as we've gone through the whole thing and also touch on various things out of order as well. It's like just trying to arrive at a number for this fucking movie. It's like rating it anything lower than an 8 is almost unjustifiable.
Yeah, I was
Like,
gonna say
you'd
it's
have to
probably-
argue real fucking hard for like
Yeah.
a major flaw in this movie. I'm very happy giving it like a 9. It's really fucking tight with
Mhm.
like some very small exceptions like here and there where things get stretched a bit thin.
Yeah, out of the flaws that have been gone through, it's nothing breaks it.
Mhm.
I don't know. I disagree. I think that the two things that bother me the most are Jamie Foxx, the stupidity that he shows in the beginning, and the sort of wizard powers he has in the end are both very much in service of the plot. And that like I was kind of disappointed. Like I forgot that was the way it ended because it had been so long since I saw it, and I was just like, ugh, that was disappointing. That like they built up Clyde as being this, he's so smart. If he wants you dead, you're dead, and then it's like, and he just gets outsmarted like that fucking easily. Like, that's
Yeah.
gonna drop it a few points for me.
Yeah, I agree with that. With the ending, it was like kind of what wrapped
Well,
up
and like
in a
Slur
nice
pointed out
bow.
in the beginning, it's like he's shown to be like this 96% success rate, prosecutor. He's really fucking good at his job, but he doesn't even realize that the confession he's just been handed is fucking useless. Like, okay, like
Yeah,
it's kind of
things
like the
that in
writer handed him
service-
the idiot
I think
stick.
It's in service of the plot more so in service of the script so that things can be explained to the audience. But in so doing, you do lessen Jamie Foxx's
Yeah,
character.
that might be a better way to describe.
It could have been done better. Like maybe the warden says something. Like why can't he use that? Like it cuts to them all looking through the
Yeah,
cameras.
you could have had another character be like, okay, we Fox be like, we ain't got shit.
Yeah, that
Or
wasn't
even
actually
if
a
in that
confession.
one scene you actually had Jamie Foxx before he starts to walk out of the room, he kind of just leans forward and goes, "Yeah, that's cute and all, but I'm gonna need a real confession."
Yes, either way would have fixed it.
Yeah. I think with all of the things considered, I'm almost thinking of putting it at a 7.
Mm.
It's like, I think 8 is where I'm like most comfortable, and I could maybe argue it up to a 9 just because I think the character stuff in this movie is even so much better than I remembered having already seen it. It's really well done the way they do Jamie Foxx's arc and the way Clyde is presented through the whole movie. It's just you do have some of those like plot beats that drag it down a little bit, but ultimately I think it's really fucking well done. So 8 is probably where I'll settle.
Yeah, same. I'm perfectly fine with an 8. I could be talked down to maybe a 7.
I'm kind of in the same boat. I'm in between like a 7 and an 8, so like a 7.5 I think would be fair.
Yeah, I'm willing to compromise on the 7.5.
I was at an 8. I was at an 8.5, but I do have to kind of agree, so I'm bringing down to an 8.
Well, I'd say that's pretty.
It's a pretty narrow spread. So
Yeah.
But here's the thing:
Oh.
the fucking movie's
Relatively,
fantastic.
it
This
is.
movie is
Yeah,
like legit one of the
really
greatest
fucking
movies
good
like
movie.
made. It's pretty fucking good.
It's great.
And when is this movie from? Can you pull up the date?
2009.
So this
2009.
movie is over 10 years old, and it still fucking holds up better than pretty much most of the shit that comes out nowadays.
Jesus Christ, I would have
Yeah.
been like 16, 17 when I
And
saw this.
I
Holy shit.
I was
It's a
fucking
weird
like
feeling, dog. It's a
I-
weird feeling.
Yeah.
no wonder
I
you
was
may have so much
almost,
shit in
like,
your head.
Oh no, your fan theories.
I was almost 14 at the time. Jesus.
I was 15.
Fucking
Y'all make me
Zoers.
so old.
I know, it's weird. But yeah,
I
thanks for
remember-
joining us, guys. Is there anything else anybody wants to say pertaining to the movie?
I was gonna bring up how I don't like. I remember some of the marketing, and the marketing made this movie look a little schlocky. Hence, why I never saw it in the first place. And it's very different from the way it was advertised.
I don't really know. The only trailer I know about was the one that somebody replaced Clyde Shelton with an engineer and replaced Jamie Foxx with a spy. That was the only trailer I remember. But that trailer still, the trailer's actually really good. If you want to pull it up, Law-Abiding Engineer. But I don't remember that trailer like really fucking showing it being like shocking.
I don't remember any trailers for this at all. I just
Pull it
remember
up.
my dad brought it home from the fucking DVD store like one day, and we just watched it, and I never thought about it again. I just thought it was pretty decent.
Mhm.
Hence
Pull it
why
up
I
real quick.
remembered so little of it this time.
Yeah,
Law-Abiding
this,
Engineer.
yeah, this might have.
Is
This
I-
also might have just been impressions from when I was younger, so I could have just also been completely fucking wrong.
Was
Fair
it
enough.
made by a notable writer or director?
Yeah,
Um,
who made the movie actually?
I have the cover up. Let me quickly throw it in IMDb. Law-Abiding Citizen. This Law-Abiding Citizen 2. I would love to watch a second one.
I don't know.
I
I don't know.
Gerard Butler's dead, so.
Yeah, no,
Bring it back!
It's a very good movie. Don't ruin it with the sequel.
Oh,
Yeah,
F.
I'm
Gary
just like,
Gray.
as a
That would
final
be
thing,
like
I'm just
doing
running
another
through all my.
302.
Oh, that's the director of Friday and Straight Outta Compton. That's the only two I know. Yeah, look.
Wow.
Yeah, there it is, Friday. Yeah,
Wow.
and Straight
Well,
Outta
hey.
Compton.
Damn.
Those are the only two I know
that
him
confirms our future Friday arc.
for. Okay.
You think I'm joking? We're doing the Friday trilogy.
I think that.
I
that
think
feels
they
good.
legitimately are on the fucking watch list.
I
Yeah.
put them on the watch list, motherfuckers. We're doing them.
I think Friday is really funny.
They're fucking great movies.
Okay, I'm just running through like my notes just to make sure there's nothing I haven't touched on. There's like two little things.
Go ahead.
Okay,
Okay.
in quotes, the first time law officials have been systematically killed. That's a straight up fucking lie because the 1920s happened, but and especially in like Philadelphia and everything, as it was just a little thing that like glitched in my head. But as far as the mayor is concerned, within her lifetime and anything that's relevant to her precedents,
Oh shit! I'm right back.
yeah, it's the first time anything like that has happened. It's fucking quibbles. It's nothing.
Oh,
And then we have the EMP at the fucking funeral. And this is a little bit more of a thing. An EMP, an electromagnetic pulse, will disable electronic equipment.
Yes.
A diesel engine or a petrol engine
Does
is
not run on
not
that.
electric equipment
Does not
once
run on
it is all
electricity.
activated.
I mean, it would have killed the battery, and without the
It
battery
would
going
have
to the
killed the
spark
battery,
plugs.
but the battery isn't what makes a car go if it's not electric. The engine is what makes the car go,
I thought the
which
batteries
is powered
would.
by combustion.
I thought the spark plugs are hooked up to the battery.
Are they the battery or are they just
No.
part of the
I was going to say, Ninja, you work alongside cars.
Yeah,
would
no,
you actually?
it would have killed like the battery and the solenoid for the starter and stuff like that. So the longer they would have driven, eventually, yes, the power, because you're not charging the system with the alternator anymore, but it wouldn't have stopped them immediately.
All right.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, and that's it. That's the last of my notes. Everything else
Also,
is
That's it.
in order.
did it seem to affect all the cars? Because it felt like there was one car that because that one car got a lot more forward
Yeah,
than
that's
the other
weird
two.
actually, because it affected all of them initially, but the one at the head of the convoy got to go ahead before all of the others seem to have gotten their shit together.
I
I
think it only
thought-
hit the two back. The ones.
I
the
thought
rear.
he specifically
The
targeted
EMPs
the
are
one.
not that specific.
I thought he
They're
specifically
pure
targeted the one
radius.
that had the lawyer guy in it, the mentor.
Well, that's the one that he shoots and blows up, but I thought the EMP kind of hit all of them.
Well, yeah,
did
because
kind
Jamie
of.
Foxx's one also stops.
Oh, yeah. True.
It somehow was a focused EMP, so his car could drive
Yeah,
away.
he had an
That's
EMP
not an
gun.
EMP.
Yeah.
The whole thing, the
Didn't you
pinging
watch
EMP.
Fast and the Furious?
Yeah, I did
Remember
all
they
of them.
did this in 2. Yeah, it was good.
Also, this director, not only did he do all of these films, he also did Men in Black International. Oh God.
No.
You bastard.
No, you prick.
Why?
Also, The Fate of the
You're doing
Furious.
so well.
Oh, he did direct Fast 8. Yeah. Forgot about that.
Wait, which one was Fast 8?
That one, The Fate of the Furious. The
Okay,
Fate.
He
If
doesn't
you
know
give me
either.
one of the pieces or something so I can have a visual.
Straight out-
It's
straight
the
out
one
of
with the
Compton's really
cars
good.
and family.
It's the one where they
Oh,
drive on
that
the ice.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Is
it's the one where Dom's evil.
Evil.
Oh, Evil Dom. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
like Michelle
Evil
Rodriguez.
Dom.
Letty,
Wait, hold up. What's
Letty
going
is
on?
like,
Recording?
He lied to
Yes,
us.
we're still
Letty,
live. We're
Letty is
still-
like, you're gonna
Okay.
turn your back on family, and then he turns his back on her.
Literally.
No.
You'll never turn your back on
Fucking
family. Did
Chad.
nobody tell him?
Nobody told him.
We're
What he
so
Jason Statham's also in the movie.
with,
Oh my
Yeah,
with
and
that,
who is he playing? Oh, would you look at that? He's playing Jason Statham.
what about The Rock? Who's The Rock playing? He's playing
Dwayne
The
Johnson.
Well,
Dwayne
hold
The
on.
Rock.
Dwayne Johnson actually can kind of act as a fairly narrow range, sure, but it's still a bit of a range.
A range.
Jason
He's a-
Statham has only
As long
ever
as he's
played
in the
Jason
jungle.
as long as
Statham.
yeah,
And in khaki.
He is in the jungle in that movie. I don't know if you guys know about that.
he cut
What,
out
what,
so
what?
fucking
Motherfucker.
bad.
Sorry, hang on. Okay. Hello?
Hello.
Hi.
Okay. So, one of my favorite improv scenes of all time is actually from one of the Fast and Furious movies. There's a moment where The Rock is walking into the backyard, and
Yes.
Tyrese Gibson and Ludacris are sitting there. And Tyrese had a line that said, "Hey, watch out, hide your baby oil." And he goes, "Oh, I'm just playing." And then The Rock was not on the script. He goes, "Well, you better watch out for that big ass forehead." And Ludacris was in the middle of bits, and that's in the movie.
Yeah, it's so good.
So
It's so clearly real as well.
the
He
reason
doesn't even hesitate too. You better watch
No.
out for that big ass fucking forehead.
Hey, better hide your baby oil. Better hide that big ass forehead.
so
It's
the
just,
reason
it's just a joke, man.
Yeah, it was like, I was just joking, but whatever.
so the reason
It's the realest
we
fucking
were-
thing ever.
we were talking about that was because I was looking at his IMDb. He directed Fate of the Furious, but also Men in Black International, and all of us just went no.
No, you betrayed me. I fed up with this world.
Wait, hang on.
You're the chosen one.
Who's here seen The Room?
Me.
Yes, I've seen that.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Everyone, surely. Everyone in the world.
I mean,
Hi,
sure.
Mark.
I'm just making sure, because that can be hard. If
Just
nobody's
making
seen
sure there were no, sinners here that hadn't seen it.
that. Make sure nobody here doesn't have their hidden spoon at the
Oh,
ready.
Johnny, you're my number one customer.
Hi, doggy.
Hi, Dougie.
Doggy.
Bye.
That fucking scene. Oh, you just take that one flower shot scene, you can dissect like multiple different points where none of these people are interacting like real human beings.
It has
is
so many layers.
fascinating.
It does, really, it does. It's insane.
Oh, hi, Johnny. I didn't know it was you. That's me.
Keep the change.
dozen
Doggy.
roses,
These
please.
people are having completely different conversations.
And
They're
their
not talking to each
and their
other at
voice
all.
lines are like clipping into each other.
Well, it's because every single god of Tommy Wiseau's fucking lines are 80 yard.
Right.
They're just like talking over each other.
Are they, or is that just how he speaks? Because
You're my favorite customer. Hello, doggy. Goodbye.
You're my
So
favorite customer.
Hold on. So with that, we'll see you guys all next week. Bye.
Bye.
I was gonna say we should end
Bye.
with the law
Thanks a lot. Bye.
Bye. And we didn't chill for Tom's channel.
No, my channel's TCAP. Go.
Tom-
What?
Oh,
I got a new
Tom.
video.
How
Yes,
dare
you do.
you.
What's that video? What's that new video all about?
It's about how the action in the new Boba Fett is shit.
Oh, how shit is it?
Oh my god, did you get the same impression where it looks like fucking Power Rangers?
We showed
Oh,
Ninja
yeah.
the fucking swan dive off the building.
Oh
That-
no.
That was
Oh no.
fantastic.
That is
I was
like
fucking out of my shit so burnt, and I still had to like break that down second for second as to what physically fucking happened in that moment.
I
because
had-
was broken.
it was fucking hilarious when I watched it with a few of you guys before I'd watched it previously, and I was just waiting for that reaction when she decided to turn back from a throwing knife and jump off the fucking building.
Yeets herself into the. It's
But not just jump off.
4 fucking stories up.
Yeah,
And
not
she
not,
just
not
yeets
like
herself
kind
off.
of not just
Then
like kind
comes
of climb.
back like a second later.
Yeah, not
Nothing
just
happened.
not just like climb over the edge and kind of wait there, like literally nosedive off it onto the ground.
Or you know what would have been cooler? Have her grab one of the knives.
Yeah.
Unironically
yeah.
came back like a fucking boomerang.
I was going to say.
Oh, I mentioned
I'm
that in
gonna-
my video. She just kind of bounces up like off a trampoline, like into frame, like hello.
you
Yeah, I left,
could've-
I left the comment. I was like, you should have used my.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make that edit. By the way, for the last time we did not order a giant shirt. You see Fennec just bounce.
Just bounce.
Yeah, I did have an idea for a quick joke where because I mean I do call her Master Assassin Fennec like sarcastically because
Oh no.
that's the line that Boba uses, like this is my partner Master Assassin Fennec.
You
Nice
treat it
choice.
with
And I
respect.
wanted to clip that. I wanted to clip him saying that, and then cut back to her jumping off a fucking building.
when she jumps, I'm gonna probably make 2 edits. The Emperor's New Groove one, but as soon as she jumps off, all we hear is
Yeah,
Yeah, that fucking old Looney Tunes.
Oh,
I was
No,
actually
that's
gonna
from-
do the
that's
fucking
goofy.
do the sound effects. Do the sound effect of fucking the whenever you make a leap of faith in Assassin's Creed because she's Master Assassin.
I feel like
But,
with just that one clip, I
If
could
you want
just
to
fucking
see
edit.
what the fuck we're talking about, our boy Tom here does a fucking fantastic job of breaking down that scene and how shitty it is. Go check it out on
It's
his
so
channel.
bad.
Link is in the description.
yes.
And take it from someone who's seen Boba Fett. It takes some fucking breaking down how shit it is.
Well, the biggest part is the fact that
Pretty
he's got a
bad.
fucking jetpack and he still just stands there like a fucking idiot.
And
Well,
you know
that-
what? I've heard that episode 2 is even worse.
Worse.
Kind of
Oh,
morbidly
don't even
curious.
don't get me started. Don't even
So,
don't
okay.
say that.
Me and you
So-
are gonna have to do it.
No, that's so it is. We are continuing watching Boba Fett. God damn it!
I feel